Look, I don't wanna talk. How you try and press the kid and really you was soft? All you know is capping, homie, you don't know the law. Pedal to the metal, you ain't catching me in park. I just hit the stop.
There you go, folks. What is more Lord of the Rings, the Fellowship of the Ring inspiring than that clip right there? And that's the video I was talking about, guys, that guest left the show on or whatever. It's that one right there. The guy who called me a pedophile. Anyways, folks, welcome to the MCU'S Bleeding Edge YouTube channel and podcast. I am, of course, Jeff S., a.k.a. TrueKnowledge, co-host and creator of the MCU'S Bleeding Edge. And I'm here moderating this Lord of the Rings, the Fellowship of the Ring from 2001 movie review with drinking games tonight on, what is it? Friday, 7/12/24 at 9:37 p.m. Eastern. Getting after it on the panel tonight. For the first time, Brian from Zero Dark Nerdy Podcast. What's up, Brian?
What's up? What's up? Thank you for having me on, Jeff. Happy to be here.
Appreciate you. Aston for the third time. What's up, Aston?
Hey, man. Super thrilled to be here. Psyched, man. Loving it. Loving it. Thanks for having me.
Andre, the pop culture guy. What's up, sir?
Pretty good. Very excited to talk about The Lord of the Rings. Best movie ever.
My dog just like pushed my chair over, like he just takes over my space and shit. And coming back from Rick and Tim from Middle Aged Men Movie Review Podcast on YouTube. What's up, fellas?
How's it going, Bleeding Edge? Happy to be here, ready to be part of the one podcast to rule them all.
What's going on, everyone?
That's right. That's right. All right, guys. So, first question, right off the bat, right off the rip. How many watches is everybody at? And including, the watch for this one. And then what was your first watch of the film? And what were your quick thoughts on your first take of the film, the first time you saw it? I'll start with Andre's pop culture guy, since he's the veteran on the guest panel.
Wow. Okay. I think all of us have pretty much grew up watching The Lord of the Rings. I mean, this and Harry Potter came out the same year, which is crazy.
How many times have you watched it total? And when was the first time you fucking saw it the first time and your thoughts on it?
I was getting to that. Oh wow! Look at this. You see this, folks?
I'm guiding you right from jump.
I think you already drank too much and now you're out of it again, Jeff. Oh my god. Anyway, let me get to my point, sir. Then I'm going to answer your question. Anyway, many times, 1,000 times seen the theatrical version of The Lord of the Rings. But my first time watching the extended edition this week. So I haven't seen the extended edition at all. I've seen so many times the cut version. And yeah, I just, very different, I have to say. But yeah, love this movie. It's definitely my personal favorite of the trilogy.
You still didn't answer my fucking question. You didn't say how many times you watched the movie or anything like that and whatnot. You know what? Don't even worry about it.
Fuck you, Jeff. I say many times, sir. Dear Lord. Folks, you're eyewitness here. All of you are you're witnesses.
Did I not, wait a minute, guys. Did I not twice say, anyways. All right. I'll go over to you, middle-aged Tim. Your film count and first thoughts of your first time you saw it.
Sir, my first film count was 5. 5 times I've seen it, sir. And my first thoughts on it were, my God, this is a fantastic movie. I love this thing. And then I found out there's going to be an extended cut, and I have never watched the original theatrical version ever since. So, and I've watched it 5 times, as I said, and basically it's because I don't like to wear them out. It's like Star Wars, Indy. I love these movies, but I try to stretch them out and watch them only once in a while so I don't wear them out. And when I get tired of all the crap that they're putting out these days, this is what I put in to make myself feel good again.
All right, Aston, same question.
I think I've got the extended cut. I must have watched it 4 times total, the extended cut. As for the theatrical, it's got to be definitely above 8. Easily above 8. First time watching it, I remember it was in Kuwait. This is when do you remember those big box CRTs, man? You usually had 21-inch joints. You didn't have them bigger and stuff. My pops, I don't know how he got one of those 32-inch ones, and it was the flat screen, the Trinitron one, bro. I remember watching that movie on DVD, bro. When DVD was something. Okay, I'm aging myself right now. And to me, it's like one of my fondest memories. It was like I had a birthday party in August in Kuwait. So ain't nobody going nowhere. It was the pool or we're watching TV. So like that movie was like the best gift like my pops got me and stuff. Like just awesome memory. Yeah, that's me. I'm punching out. Punching out.
All right, Brian, same question.
First off, Aston, were you serving for us?
No, I was born and raised in Kuwait.
Okay, just asking. Either way, yeah.
No worries, no worries.
I just
But I know some
wanted to
service.
ask,
I met a lot of service
at the end of the day.
people
So if you were, I would have said thank you for your service. That's why I asked. But either way, I was just.
Well, thank you for your service to the Bleeding Edge, sir.
There you go. Thank you for your service to the Bleeding Edge. So for me, this was right around the same time that my daughter was born, and I was a very, very young dad. So it was hard for me to get out of the house, period. And it was also one of those things to where when I was still with my daughter's mom, I was like, hey, listen, this movie's coming out on this day. We can get her a babysitter, or you can just watch her, and I'll go watch it by myself, because I knew my daughter's mom, God bless her, she's a great mom. We co-parent very well. Was not into Lord of the Rings. And I already knew it was Peter Jackson. They filmed a trilogy back to back to back, which was literally the first time that's ever happened. And it was just phenomenal. So I saw it twice in the theaters. And I know I showcased this when I met my wife. She told me that she was a big Lord of the Rings fan. So I've been watching the extended cut, here and there about at least once a year, just for shits and giggles. So that's my, at least Fellowship of the Ring experience. So I've been a fan ever since.
Okay, Rick.
All right. So the first time I saw this was at the premiere. It was, if I remember correctly, it came out on a Wednesday night. So that's like Thursday morning at like 12 in the morning. It was, oh my God, it was quite the experience, man. I never did anything quite like it at the time. I was probably like 20 or something like that years old. And we were standing in line waiting for this thing to come out. We get inside, and there's already people who have, outfits and stuff. And I'm like, I didn't know really anything about the Lord of the Rings at the time, but I did know that people were dressed kind of strange and stuff. I'm like, all right, it must have to be something with the movie and stuff. And it was a completely packed crowd inside the theater, and you could feel the experience that other people were having while watching this thing. And it was really quite something special, because when people had a reaction to something that was going on screen, you felt it, and you felt their energy, and you felt the presence that they had, and what type of experience that they were having, and it accentuated the experience for me. But beyond that, as soon as it came out, I know you're talking about DVD a second ago. Look, I bought the VHS, okay? I bought the VHS, okay? And when I bought that VHS, man, I was so stoked about the movie in general, because this was,
I
for
did too.
me, this was the first. I'm the type of person who is super duper into fantasy. You know what I'm saying? So this was the first time that there was a really high quality fantasy movie that has really ever came out. The closest things that we had up to this point was things like, Dragonheart, Dragon Slayer, Krull back in the 80s. I mean, something maybe close, but it's not at all fantasy, is Braveheart. That was cool, but that wasn't fantasy. That was medieval. You know what I'm saying? So this thing was completely stellar. I watched this. I'm not even joking, man. I watched this thing over 70 times on VHS. I've played so many times this thing that my VHS no longer would play the movie. It's the cassette itself would no longer play without massive distortion. As soon as the extended cut came out and was sold on DVD, I bought that thing out. And actually, I had to buy it a second time because I moved a few years later and I couldn't find the first disc to the Fellowship of the Ring. I looked all over the place. I could not find this disc, and I was like, man, forget it. I'm just gonna go ahead and buy another. It took me a little while before I bought it, but I was like, I gotta see this movie again. So I ended up buying the extended edition twice. Later I found it. It was in a DVD player, that I had in a box for a long time. So now I have 2 extended edition DVD sets plus a VHS that don't really play anymore, a VHS cassette that doesn't play anymore. But this, yeah, Fellowship of the Ring. I know a lot of people like, some of the other, maybe the Two Towers. Some people like Return of the King. For me, it is the Fellowship all the way, you guys. But that's my intro.
Okay.
Sir,
All right.
sir, you forgot to mention Willow. What about the baby?
Yes, Willow. Willow.
All right. Okay. All right. So, let's go ahead and get this drinking game stuff out of the way. So we're playing drinking games tonight, folks. I'm going to let everybody from the panel pick a drinking word. Then I'm going to fill out the roster of drinking words for tonight. And we'll start with you, Aston. Pick your first drinking word, sir. We can get started with the drinking words. Aston Delgado, drinking word.
Austin, you're mute, I think.
You guys can't hear me?
We can hear you.
At
Yeah. Give me a drinking word.
Nazgul.
Ooh.
Ooh.
Hey, it's gonna come up. Like that word is gonna come up.
Andre's a pop culture guy. Pick a word. Pick a drinking word.
Gollum.
That's never going to come up.
That's weak. Come on, pick another one.
What? Hello. You've seen the extinction. They mentioned Gollum 1,000 times.
All right.
Wow,
Okay.
fine.
All right.
Okay. No one. Frodo. Our boy Frodo. The Baggins. That's
Okay.
my
Fine.
drink.
I got that. All right, Frodo. We got it. Brian, pick a word.
This is tough. I'm gonna go with Gandalf. We might get tipsy today, fellas.
All right. Rick, pick a word.
Sauron.
Saruman.
No. Sauron.
Sauron.
That's right.
The fuck is Sauron?
The main bad guy.
Sauron. Oh, Sauron. All right, Sauron. All right, awesome. All right, middle-aged kid.
Oh, I'm throwing down. We're going ring all the way.
Ooh.
And we'll add the plural too, so it could be rings as well. All right, and I'll add in hobbits, shire, and elves. All right, drinking words. Nazgul, Frodo, Gandalf, Sauron, rings, hobbit, shire, elves. The drinking game is officially started as of right now. I will, on the screen, of course, momentarily put the words up and to remind everyone again. But I just read them off to you, so everyone's fair game at this point. I'm going to go ahead and I'm going to start off with the plot synopsis. And I'm going to grab that real quick from IMDb. So an ancient ring. Oh, right there. Drink. How about that? We already got started, guys. The lost for centuries has been found, and through a strange twist of fate, has been given to a small H person named Mr. F. When there we go. Drink. Gandalf discovers the ring. Twice. Is in fact the one R word of the Dark Lord, Mr. S. Mr. F must make an epic quest to the cracks of doom in order to destroy it. However, he does not go alone. He is joined by Old G-Man, Legolas the Elf, Gimli the Dwarf, Aragorn, Boromir, and his 3 H-buddy friends, Merry, Pippin, and Samwise. Through mountain, snow, darkness, and forest, rivers, and plains, facing evil and danger at every corner, the fellowship of the R-word must go. Their quest to destroy the one R-word is the only hope for the end of the Dark Lord's reign. There you go. So there's our plot synopsis. All right. The reception for the Lord of the Rings. Oh, I just said another one. There's another drink.
You're welcome, everybody. You're welcome.
Good job so far with the drinking words, guys. Good job. So the film was released. Let's see. It was released in 2001, obviously, and essentially, recession-wise, it did. Let's see. It grossed $75.1 million in its first first 5 days in the U.S. and Canada, including $47.2 million on its opening weekend, placing it number 1 at the U.S. box office, setting a December opening record, beating Ocean's 11. Let's see. Altogether, in its initial release, it went on to gross $319.2 million in the U.S. and Canada and $567.3 million in the rest of the world, for a worldwide total of $887.2 million. All right, figure that's above 1.5 something billion now. In where money's at now, adjusted. But basically, Box Office Mojo estimates that the film sold over 54 million tickets in the U.S. and Canada in its initial theatrical run. They had following subsequent reissues, obviously, and that pushed the total up to 887.4 now, totally. Now, awards-wise, the film, if I can find it, if I can actually find it, the film was nominated for 13 Academy Awards. It was nominated for Best Picture, Best Director, Best Supporting Actor, Ian McKellen, Best Adapted Screenplay, Best Art Direction, Best Cinematography, Best Costume Design, Best Film Editing, Best Makeup, Best Original Score, Best Original Song, Best Sound, Best Visual Effects, and it won in Visual Effects, Best Original Score, Best Makeup, and Best Cinematography. So that's how it did Oscar-wise that year. So coming off of that, and does everybody have any thoughts? And I'll start with you, Brian. Does anybody have any thoughts on the box office numbers for the film, or how it did award ceremony-wise?
I mean, starting off, this was a super risky project. I mean, Peter Jackson was known for, what was it, Dead Alive? And I'm just trying to wrap my head around it. It was Dead Alive, which was a decent horror flick, and Bad Taste. Both filmed in his motherland, New Zealand, and New Zealand has brought us great actors and directors, Taika Waititi, just being one of them. So, for him to get this project, to me, was astounding. And how it originally came about was, he always loved the trilogy of Lord of the Rings. And originally he kind of wanted to do something with The Hobbit, and then maybe do, one Lord of the Rings movie. And he took it to Harvey Weinstein over at Miramax. And Harvey's like, cool, but Harvey wanted to, like most producers do, and most executives, they want to try to cram every book they can into one movie, for the most part. And Peter Jackson was like, no, I don't want to do that. So Harvey's like, well, I'll introduce you to the guy who actually owns the rights to Lord of the Rings. And they both came to an agreement that it had to at least be at minimum 2 movies. So he gave him, I think it was something like 3 days to find another studio that was going to do it.
No, they had they had 40 days. He had to find somebody. Yeah, and they were able to, and then they ended up basically deciding that they should do the third film.
Yep, exactly, and that's what happened. And he was like, you know what, I'm totally happy doing that. And at the same time, it was really unprecedented, because even though we know at the same time that they did the second and third Matrix movies back to back, this was the first time that we're actually seeing a trilogy being made at the same time. So there's a lot of risk. I mean, it's not like Peter Jackson at the time was Spielberg, or any of these other amazing directors, during that time. And they pulled it off. because they were so passionate about the project. And that to me means the most. Like when you see a director come in and they're like, listen, I love this. I want to make it right. I want to make it correct. And we'll buck up. And at the time, I mean,
Well,
Harvey Weinstein was a giant.
It's important to mention too that the budget was $93 million, so that was the
Right.
budget for the film. It was under $100 million, but still, that's a lot of money for back then. You know, like it's a lot of money for a budget.
100%. And I mean, they took a big risk doing this, all three back to back to back. Because I mean, the first one bombs. We're at a, Aquaman, 2 situation here with the DCEU, where they're just like, well, we already filmed all 3. What the hell are we going to do with it? So, when they did it, I really do feel like they did it right. Everything I hear about Peter Jackson is he is a visionary. He knows what he likes and he's going to do what he wants to do. And at the time, I mean, you look at the cast, for the exception of, some of the older ones in there. And I'm talking about like, even though Viggo Mortensen was unknown, like Ian McKellen is a well-respected actor at that time, like some of the heavyweights, but at that time they're bringing in Elijah Wood. They're bringing in Viggo Mortensen, like a lot of actors on the cusp that they can get for cheap at the same time, doing a trilogy in New Zealand, which is absolutely gorgeous. I mean, you see these movies and you feel like half of it's CGI, but a lot of it's not. Like that's literally the landscape of New Zealand. So that's just kind of my mindset on it. It was just very well done. And it's very hard, and we all know this, to convert a book, let alone 3 books, into a movie. I mean, converting 1 book into a movie is damn near impossible. So I always respect people that try to either take the time to spread it out a little bit, or at least make sure it's not all done in one. When, I mean, think about Dune part, or the first original Dune, I mean, that book is massive. And obviously we're in the 80s. Sci-fi and the technology and the special effects aren't where it is now, but at the same time, that's just my opinion on it. I thought it was just very well done, very well executed, and of course, by the end of it, you want more. They separate, and that's what makes it so great. It's like, oh my gosh, what's going to go on over here? What's happening over here? We got to get the losses at the end too.
Let's wrap up and move on down the line. Middle-aged Tim, do you have anything you want to comment on regarding the reception or the awards or anything like that?
Yeah, I think it's just amazing we even got this movie at all. I mean, because I remember sitting back, in the 80s when I'm rolling dice and D&D with me and my buddies, sitting in somebody's basement eating pizza, and we're talking about the movie at the time. And I'm talking about the 1979 cartoon because that was the best we had. And it was horrible. I mean, it really was. And then there was The Hobbit and then the Return of the King cartoon, which I guess you just go from the first book to the last book and that's all you do. And, we all sat and said, this will be a movie that will never be made because it is just far too difficult. There's no way. And then technology comes along, Star Wars comes along, and around the same time, and shows you can make an epic movie. It still takes a long time though for us to get to this point. And then you get a guy like Peter Jackson, who's a relatively unknown. He's like, I think I'm going to go ahead and do this. I mean, his biggest thing at that point was The Frighteners. And I mean, it's an okay movie, but I can't believe a studio is going to go, yep, that's the guy for this project. But somehow he pulled it off, convinced people. And he had the vision to kind of get with Weta Works. He kind of took some pages out of George Lucas's book and made the impossible the possible. I mean, he just did it. And he managed to not only get it from a 2-movie to a 3-movie deal, which is, what makes this, because I can't imagine if they tried to do it in 2, I think we would have ended up with a kind of a better, shittier version of the original cartoon, to some degree, but I just don't see it happening. And, I think it's amazing that we got here and they had to develop technology as they went along to make some of the things that he needed. And he did it in a sense of realism. He's like, look, I want this to be a realistic film. I want it to feel like an epic, much like Braveheart or something like that. I want it to feel like it's a historical piece. And then not only did he have a love for it, but everybody he found had a love for it too, from the writers that helped him, basically take it from a book to make it into a screenplay, from, the people who did the art. He went and got the original artists who had kind of redone some of the artwork for, later versions of the trilogy and The Hobbit and stuff. And then the actors, like almost every actor in here is a Tolkien fan. And dude, it shows when you find people that are passionate about it, You're going to overcome obstacles and you're going to make this happen. And not only that, but then the guy shot him all 3 in a row. So while he's editing this one, he's still filming the other 2. I don't think the guy slept for probably a decade. I mean, I don't know how he managed it, between the start of when he wrote it to the end. Like, it's just a monumental feat of filmmaking. And he held it all together and brought us this magnificent film. And thank God he did. It's just a wonderful piece of film and an awesome trilogy. Maybe, and I know anybody knows me, I'm the biggest Star Wars fan, but it may be the greatest trilogy ever made. It outshines Star Wars by a long shot. So there you go.
We tried to reach out to the man who died in this pursuit. They were unavailable for comment.
There you go.
What?
What do you think about that one, Dungeon Master?
Oh boy, I don't know.
We tried to reach out to the man who died in this pursuit. They were unavailable for comment.
No,
You ain't trying
no
to talk,
comment,
like
bro.
what?
No comment.
Condoms, man! It's repression, man! Just another tool of the establishment just to bring us down! They say we gotta use them, but who are they? Well, they want to control us with their condoms, but not me, man, because I ain't wearing one and letting...
Sheik, use one or get none.
Well, these are cool. I mean, I'd use them. I'd like them, and I'd use them all the time.
Sheik, get some.
Thank you! Thank you, Mr. Sheik!
The official sponsor of MCU Bleeding Edge.
There you go. Sheik, get some. I love it, baby. You gotta love it. Anyways, so yeah, all right. So the Lord of the R's that came out in the year 2001. I'm going to start off for y'all with this. All right, we lost Brian momentarily. He'll be back. Speaking of which, so starting off with you, Aston, what are your thoughts on whether or not you feel like that was an effective, prologue setting up the story for the film?
Oh, for sure. I feel that the setup in the extended version, because I understood we're discussing the extended version, right?
We are.
Like, that's what we all watch, right? It does it way more justice because it really does show you the fall of Isildur in a better way. It gives you that depth, I feel, character development, the arc. It's a great prologue. It's a great setup.
I'm limited in what I can get off YouTube, to play, for this kind of stuff. You know what I mean?
No, of course. I mean, it's awesome because the setup really, like in the extended one, is so much better because there's a few bits and pieces because in essence, we have 2 prologues in this movie. We really have 2 setups because we have the setup of the circular thing that looks like a rubber, and then we have the setup of the midget wrestling squad in brown robes. So we have both those setups, and they're both done really well in the extended version. They're decent in the cinematic theatrical version, which we've all probably seen more, but I feel it really comes across the depth of, like, it is a masterpiece. The extended is really a masterpiece. Like, if you have the time to take it all in one sitting, it really, like, comes together, like, in such a, it's woven so well, like, to see, you just get everything. If you've never picked up a book, like, I had my fiance watch it, like, literally, she never read the books, she was like, oh, that's all nerdy stuff, right? And when we watched the extended one, I was like, if I got one shot, I might as well just, she's like, what, 4 hours? I'm like, come on, sweetie, come on, we went to your little Band-Aid concert and all that stuff, like, it's like, do me a solid, I let you go hang out with your girls' nights way too much, that's why she an ex now, but, she needs to call Xavier. But yeah, so I'm babbling. Back to you, Jeff. Back to you in the studio, Jeff.
Middle-aged Tim.
prologues are usually poorly written and executed in films. I mean, but I think this one's exceptionally well done and really covers a lot of the story background without being confusing or too long or too short. I think it clocks in at something like 7.5 minutes, which, in my mind would normally be way too long for such a thing. But, and I think the studio thought the same thing because they really wanted him to keep it at 2 minutes. But once they seen it, they really capitulated and said, look, we're going to leave it because it really does lend to the film and give you a much needed background into Middle Earth and what's going on. And it's really visually stunning. I mean, it's almost like a student's short film. I mean, there's a lot going on, a lot of visuals there that really have nothing to do with the rest of the movie later on. So he spent a lot of time and money creating that thing. So I think, again, it's another one of those things that, it proves that, Jackson would, skillfully execute and the other filmmakers just can't seem to pull off. So it's really, really well done.
Okay. Rick.
I agree with what's been said so far, and I think that the way that it's done, it is an honor to Token because with the amount of time that they had, it does not only does it detail things, required things needed in the exposition of the story, it also, if you're paying attention, and this is something like I told you guys I saw it a bunch of times. Every single time I seen it, there was something different that I was able to take from the film because you don't just learn about the story or the characters or whatever's going on through dialogue. You also learn about what's going on in the story through, like Tim had said, through the visual effects. I mean, through what they're wearing, through, I mean, it goes down to even the state of which what they're wearing is in. You know what I'm saying? Like, it's worn, it's dirty, it's the rags, it's new. Like all that, the attention to detail in this film is outstanding, absolutely outstanding. And the other thing too, aside from all the cool, battle scenes that you get in this, the music, man, holy moly, dude, that music, Howard Shore just completely brings it to another level, man. It just absolutely raises it to this other level, and it's amazing. And yeah, it's awesome. That's all I got.
Andre's a pop culture guy.
Yeah, I agree. Everything what the people always say. I think Peter Jackson and his team did a really good job of giving us what Middle Earth is. Because I mean, 9 out of 10, these like adapted books always fail to like give us a clear direction or clear vision of what this world is. The only franchise that has done that well is either this or Mad Max. Fury Road did that very well as well, and but also what really works is Kate Blanchett's narration. Her voice is really great. I mean, she has a really great voice that really kind of like she's telling you like an actual story, like a bedtime story almost, and then like, it gets you into the mood of like what's Middle Earth and what's like good, what's the good and what's the evil, and it's all perfectly well by her narration, which is really great. So yeah, it's one of the things that's always been a problem with these like prologues. It's like you don't have the right narration or the execution, which this movie does well.
That's a real good point, Andres, because apparently I didn't realize this till today. Frodo, not Frodo, but whoever's gonna be playing as Frodo,
Drink.
what?
Three times, thank you.
Was gonna be doing the narration, so it's really, really cool. That's a very good point that I never really considered. Galadriel doing it because of Kate Blanchett. It really was smooth.
Yeah, she's great. Brian, same question. Did you hear what my question was?
Yeah, I did. Yeah, I'm sorry we lost connection there for a little bit. But,
You're fine.
To me, the beginning of the prologues are so important. And just to kind of backtrack a little bit, I know this doesn't have to do with Lord of the Rings, but when I was watching the documentary, because we're all film buffs, right? We love the behind the scenes stuff. I was watching the Spielberg one where, they were talking to George Lucas about Star Wars, and they watched it the episode 4, and they were like, we don't know what the hell is going on. Like, can you do something to where at least in the beginning of the movie, there's like, we as an audience can figure out where this starts from, right? And that's how they did the whole intro to Star Wars Episode 4, and which is iconic to this day. This is like that without having, obviously the words on the screen and it going up. Now, Kate Blanchett is phenomenal. And for her to do this, it was, to me, because I'd never read the books, right? And a lot of people that go to the movies, you get 50-50 a lot of times. You get people that are fans and they're just like, please, like, do well. And then there's people like me where I'm like, I've heard of these books. I can't wait to see the movie. And it just helps us kind of see what is going on, like what Middle Earth is about, the whole 9 yards. So yeah, I definitely don't think it's too long. I think it's just enough, especially when you're catering to not just the diehard fans. And that's the thing, like, as diehard fans, we're great, but you also have to think financially. As a movie studio, we want to cater to everyone. And that's what they did with that great, intro.
Okay. Basically, what I wanted to basically say was, I actually lost my train of thought there for a minute. Don't you hate when that happens? No. So good job, guys. I'm glad. I hope everybody enjoyed seeing that snippet of the film and all that. It'll get cut out, and I'll get a copyright thing from YouTube about it, and I'll have to strip it out eventually. But at least we'll get to watch it, right? And y'all live with us, you guys in the live audience, you'll get to see it, but everybody else, they're not going to get to see it. Unfortunately, that's just the way it goes, though, on YouTube. But all right, so getting into the actual film, okay? We start off right with, of course, what we just saw right there, and then going into the actual film itself, we start off with essentially the word with an S that I can't spell her out. It'll make us all drink, and Bilbo's party. Okay, so we see kind of like life in the SHIRE and the preparation for Bilbo's 111th birthday. Bilbo's mysterious behavior and his departure. You get the introduction of the G-Man, the tall old G-Man with the staff, right? It comes into play, and essentially, setting up to the party. We establish who young Mr. F is, and Sam, and all that, right? That's established. It's flushed out. We get the party. Bilbo dips, right? Takes off. We get our experience of the Shire. We get the G-Man introduced. Oh shit! We get the G-Man introduced. We get the G-Man introduced, right? And we get a feel for what these halfling folk are all about, right? So then Bilbo bequeaths the R word to Mr. F, young Mr. F, and Mr. G realizes its true nature. Mr. G's research and confirmation of the R's identity, occurs, and as he figures out what's going on with it and all that, and leads him to the Mr. S, right? Unfortunately, that it turns out that Mr. S is not a good guy anymore. He's not down with the free folk anymore. He's down with Mr. S, the evil crime lord of the Lord of the R's. You love how
this is like Reservoir Dogs, bro. Mr. Green, Mr. Pink.
Yeah, 100%. I love it. I'm here for it.
I think it's more like Ocean's 11, where they start making up all that like thief speak that they have.
I'm bobbing and weaving over here as I read my outline, bro.
Hey, you're
I'm
doing
like,
good.
I'm bobbing and weaving. I'm like, oh shit! Every other potential word could be a bob. It's like you never know, until I get to it. So So again, so Bilbo's taken off. Now Mr. F has received the ring. Drink.
Damn.
And we get the revelation or realization that young Mr. F is going to have to take off and get the R out of the the SHIRE, right? Out of town, baby. So we'll stop there, and I'll get you guys. I left a lot of stuff out of there. I'll let you guys enumerate on that segment of the film. I'll start with you, Brian.
Yeah, I mean, I think the beginning of the film.
Keep it under 5 minutes.
I mean, have I been talking too long?
No. I'll let everybody know.
No, I get it. No, I get it.
Keep it 3 to 5, guys. Keep it 3 to 5.
Yeah, of course. I mean, I will say the intro honestly sets it off from like we just talked about the Cape, like getting introduced to Middle Earth and what is going on and what has happened, right? Like that was phenomenal. And then we get to see. I got to say, your comment on Reservoir Dogs was 100% on point with Jeff talking about Mr. R and Mr. this and Mr. that. We just get to see at the end of the day. Let's just go with Mr. G. Showing up with his cart of fireworks and everything, and just kind of seeing this neighborhood, right? That's doing a celebration, which is what
the kids all come out and everything, and
right. And, you get to see like the family and why this is so important. Which at the end of the day, you see what they're protecting, because if evil prevails, that whole neighborhood, the whole countryside is gone. So, that's just where I'll leave it at. I think, like I said, between the prologue and the intro and everything and the introduction of characters, I think it's very well done. Like if you're not hooked into Lord of the Rings, Fellowship of the Ring in the first 10 minutes, drink. Sorry, I couldn't do any more Mr. This, Mr. That. But if you're not hooked in the first 10 minutes, then to me, I feel like you're just not a fan of good stories or just good cinema at the end of the day. Like you don't have to be a sci-fi fan. You don't have to be a bookworm or anything else. Like it literally does everything it's supposed to do to get you hooked into a film, to know that you're getting ready to see a cinematic adventure. And that's what movies are supposed to be about for the most part. We're here to enjoy movies. So that's what I got. I try to keep it under 3 minutes.
Thank you, sir. Rick, good job.
I think that this was really cool. Way, especially the concerning halflings section. That it's a really good part of the film that provides a lot of character building going on, especially for the essential halfling characters, because one of the writing themes throughout the entire 3 films is that the small things, and in some cases the small people, are what really matters most. The small gestures of kindness. And when you see this, it seems like it's inconsequential, but it's actually one of the pinnacles of focus throughout the entire film, because while other people, the tall folk, the miners, the people in the forest and stuff like that, their focus is something completely different. Like could be greed, it could be ambition, but these are simple folk. These are just ordinary people, something that most in real life people can relate to. And it is the small acts of kindness that really make the big difference in the world. And I think that that is what's going on here in the very beginning. It's showing the audience, like Brian had said, this is what is going to be missing. And this is also what's going to carry us forward. So I think that's what I got.
Middle-aged Tim.
For me, this basically sets up the Lord of the Gold Band as far as being visually stunning. I mean, if you've read the books, and a lot of people, let's face it, who went to this did, you've got an idea of how this world's supposed to look.
You know what? Let me cut you off real quick, Tim. Let's flush it out now. Who's read the books and who hasn't? I've read them. I've read them myself. You read them before, Tim?
Yes, I've read them.
You read them, Aston? Andres, you ever read the books? No, you haven't. You didn't read them, Brian. How about you, Rick?
I have not. My wife has read them and she loves them, but I have not read them.
Okay.
I read the first two. I did not read the Return of the King.
Oh, okay. They're really great books. They revolutionized reading for me when I was a kid. Like, you know, going from reading comic books. Those were the first like real novels that like really like moved me when I was a kid and maybe into a reader. But go ahead, Tim. I'm sorry. Pick up where you left off.
Oh, good. So what I was going to say is, you know, so I have an idea in my mind's eye about how this world's supposed to look. And you first get to see Hobbiton and on their, you know, as the wizard rides his cart on his way to Bag End. And, you know, you see that and it's just stunningly beautiful. And it's exactly how you've envisioned it. And it's real. It's not some CG thing. It's not some little small scale thing. They built this whole thing and it looks fantastic. And for me, I was like, that was the point where I'm like, this movie's going to be epic. I mean, it just, you know, I know the story, but now I'm going to get to see the visual that's been in my mind all these years. I'm going to get to see it on screen and done in such a way that's just going to, you know, it's going to be magnificent. And, you know, the first time you see, you know, the spellcaster, you're like, oh my gosh, he looks just like I think he should look. And, you know, and then you have Bilbo's nephew running along, jumping on the cart, and you see that he actually looks smaller than the sorcerer does. You know, it's that forced perspective that uses. It works. Like, oh my gosh, you know, because we all know these characters are not small people. They didn't hire small actors to play these parts. These are full-size people, so they did a magnificent job there. And it just, you know, and you're getting to see Bilbo in this and his birthday, you know, and you know that this is where the handoff of the circlet is going to happen. And it's just very exciting because you're going to get into the meat of this story very quickly, but you get to see, you know, a piece of this world that you've envisioned all your life, and you're like, this is fantastic. The land of the wee folk meets every expectation I could have. So it was super exciting to see that visually on screen finally. Oh, I cut it off too soon. He stepped away.
No worries, I'm next.
Yeah.
Anyway, yeah. So this part here is really awesome. We should bring up is the interrelationship of the characters. So, you know, Elijah Wood and, of course, MacDeal himself, Sir Ian McKellen, is fantastic. I thought their chemistry was really great. You really get their friendship. And plus, Bilbo as well, you know, played by the late, great Ian Holm. He's fantastic. I'm very sad he's not here with us. And this extended edition, as Austin said before, I think this is the part where I like this film, because this extended edition actually expand the father-son relationship of Bilbo and Elijah Wood, which I appreciate that. I love the scene when he say, like, you know, you like a son that I like after I adopted you after your parents. Is like, that was such an emotional scene, and I always wonder what was the relationship, because I never understood it when I saw, you know, because I only saw the cut. Watching the extended edition, I was like, oh, that makes sense. So I really appreciate that relationship, and I really love it. And oh my God, Ian McKellen, great actor. When he like put his feet down for Bilbo to stop using the ring, and like he used that very loud voice, it was like, whoa.
Drink.
Oh, wait, what did I say? I say Bilbo or F that. But that's all I had to say. I really enjoyed the relationship between the characters in this film.
Okay. Who have I not gone to? I've not gone to. You have I, Middle-aged? Oh yeah, I did. I already went there. Aston, I'm not going to. Aston, I apologize, brother.
Aston, my bad.
Aston, I apologize, man. Your thoughts, sir.
Man. No worries. Thanks. Now that I'm taking the floor, when it comes to the extended version, I feel just like what Andre was saying. It really fleshes out the characters in a way that you wouldn't have you just didn't get that in the cinematic cut. And I remember forcing certain friends to watch it because it wasn't mainstream. It wasn't mainstream because it was usually poorly narrated and written and poorly executed stuff. Like I think what all of us would say that back in that era, we had low expectations, and it took us not to where we expected, but out of the ballpark. So in the extended version, you do see that relationship between Bilbo and the guy in Flipper, and how they just were a lot closer, and it's more interwoven and it's more emotional. The one thing which I would like which I think they shouldn't have put in so much, was sort of that some of the cheesy humor and stuff, because like it is so like epic and magnificent and majestic. Like it, even though it is just such a small little town next to Hobbiton. See what I did there? See what I did there? It's a town. You read the book, Jeff. Can't catch me out there. Can't catch me slipping with your beanie, man. I know you've been to campus, man.
Good job.
Good. I see you, man. Like, I see you, man. You watching. And somebody's watching me. But yes, that intro, in the extended version, when you get to connect with these actors, like even like Ian McKellen's portrayal, like just giving them those extra seconds, because it's mere seconds when you like really dig into it. It's like it's a matter of taking a different cut or a different take and it coming together and pause. But when you think of the title when it goes up, right, in the cinematic cut, which we all got, we never heard the theme till way down, until they all kind of became together, like Voltron. So in that extended, the setup is just like you're invested, and you'll look up and be like, holy hell, I'm like an X amount of minutes or hours in, and I'm like, yo, it would have been over by now, or like we would have been at this scene if it was the old cut. Like, and I still have that sometimes when I'm like, yo, like how we not have this scene, like without this scene, like why, what are we doing here? Like, but yeah, sorry, I feel I'm babbling. Back to you in the studio, Jeff.
Thank you, sir. Okay, so moving forward, the journey begins. We see young Mr. F and Sam's departure from the SHIRE. They encounter, of course, Mary and Pippin, two halflings, that are like cousins or whatever, or third cousins, I don't know. And they begin adventuring together, right? So we get the dynamic between the four halflings and their like lighthearted camaraderie. Then we get Drink the Nazgul and Bree, right, where the halflings being chased by the Ents end up arriving at the Prancing Pony and meeting Strider, right? And we get those really good scenes, right? In the inn with the pints and all that, and Mr. F putting on the R, but at that point, we get essentially the halflings being chased by the Ents, and them having to switch rooms and all that happen, right? And they basically have to take off with Strider, and we get the Weathertop, sort of battle or whatever, if you want to call it that, where they're with Strider for days. They stop at Weathertop, they light a fire to cook, like Mary and Pippin do, and that alerts the Ents, and they come and attack them, and they wound Mr. F with a Morgul blade that that's a wound that Strider can't treat, right? So he needs to go to Rivendell, right, and go see the E people to get straightened out. So I'll stop there. I'll go to you, Rick. Your thoughts on that section of the film, sir?
Holy smokes. Yeah, that's a big section.
Now let me really quick just also mention, of course, that this whole time at this point, Gandalf. Oh, drink. It's still been grabbed up by Saruman. Drink. And I'll just stop right there since obviously I'm dropping bombs over here left and right.
What you doing, man? Like, what you doing here, man? Like, it's like 6 a.m. out here. Like, the mailman gonna show up with something, look at me like, what you doing, slush, bro? Like, right, man. Like, and you doing it on purpose, man, because we had like a nice quiet period going down, you know, like we was all playing by the rules. And Andre don't care because like we forgot about Dre. He don't be drinking. He be drinking Gatorade and electrolytes and stuff. We got Ron Burgundy in the top left corner here, looking smooth like a savage with the hat on, like just chilling with the records. Like he the smooth one on. He the smooth one on stream right now. Middle aged him, like his voice is just like he should have like been in radio like back in the '90s when it paid. You know, like it's just soothing, man. Just
Did
soothing.
we just become
man.
best
Like,
friends? Yeah, I'm telling you right now.
All right.
We're
All
gonna
right.
get
It's
to
like
off
we
screen.
bonding.
We're gonna get-
Sorry, Jeff, man.
get
Like
to
back
off
to y'all.
That's okay. Let's stay on course. So, Rick, your thoughts on that part of the film, sir?
Okay, so I do have to kind of bring it back one little half second back to Hobbiton
Go ahead.
because
That's
there
it.
is
That's it.
right before they depart, there is that one scene where the wizard's like, is it secret? Is it safe? Like, I'm not gonna lie, man. That scene right there was so epic, man. And apparently, I was talking to my son, and he said that the shot where the thing on the finger, when they drop it, right? When Bilbo drops it before he leaves out the door, apparently they had to take that shot like a bunch of times so that they can get it to where it don't bounce, so that it can have that real heavy sound when it hit the floor, you know what I mean? And make it more believable. But the weight,
I think
I
they
mean,
magnetized it later to make that happen.
there you go. So the weight of the thing that's on the finger, as well as the journey, as well as the predicament they're in, as well as the pull that that thing has to bring out and amplify the negativity and maliciousness in every person who's around it. That's key. But as far as the rest of this piece right here, this is to me, for me, this makes it one of the best parts of the film because you get so excited. I also have the same feeling when I watch The Hobbit because drink.
Drink.
I was referencing the movie. Okay, I wasn't even.
Shame on
So,
you. Shame on you.
but I have the same feeling when they all leave from Hobbiton in that one. It's just like you get this feeling, this uplifting feeling, like you're about to go on this adventure and stuff like that. And it's one thing after another. There's not really any slow parts, and I would probably say that because of that, it's probably a good thing that they didn't run into Tom Bombadil in the whole mix. I know he's in the book, but it's probably a good thing because
No room for him. No room.
I
Yeah,
mean, it keeps
yeah,
the story
none.
moving. You know what I'm saying? And you feel it too. You feel like you're being pulled along. And it's one of the quotes that they said in the film. If you're not careful, watch your feet. Otherwise, it'll. I can't remember exactly the words. I was looking it up today, but watch your feet out when you walk outside the door. Otherwise, it'll sweep you up or something like that. That Bilbo says to our main character. And the other thing. The other thing is, apparently, I didn't realize this, but on Weathertop, it is possible that if Frodo would have stabbed, damn, drink.
Jeff, this ain't on him.
If
This is
the
on you, Jeff.
MC would have stabbed the Wraith, the Wraith King, that could have been it right there because apparently he had a special blade from the Dunedain that was meant to kill wraiths. So, but that's it.
Okay. All right. Mr. Aston.
Yeah. Now, there's a lot of exposition that I feel happened in the extended version that we weren't privy to in the cinematic cut, which added far more depth just because just the ninjas. Just when you look at like the explanation behind everything of the ninjas, I hope everyone gets what I'm referring to. The only people in all black, like chasing people down.
Yeah, the raid.
And yeah, the raids. And when I heard that Viggo Mortensen, he improv that scene where he threw the torch in Homeboy's face. Like, I'm like, you know what? Like, he was meant to do this, even though they offered it to Russell Crowe. Like, I know he kicking himself in the butt right now. He ain't in no Gladiator 2, not even a memory. So when you look at how the extended cut takes you through it, and we're talking about the Scandinavian-looking, fair-skinned, gorgeous folks, the way they even take you into that setup, I feel that part of the movie, like, it isn't my best part of the movie because, like, there's just so much going on in this first movie, especially in the extended cut, like, because I got a list of scenes here just from the setup. So for me, it was well conveyed, but the tone, like, it stayed consistent, like, in such a way that like Peter Jackson just does it. Like, there's a reason they let him do all 6 movies, and if he came back with anything else that was gripping, like, of a big saga, he would get it first, because he proved it in a time when nobody thought you could keep folks interested this whole time. We're at, like, what, maybe 40 minutes in, we're still expounding about minute details that we didn't pick up on the first watching. Like, that's that. And if there is something I didn't, maybe a deleted scene, that's not clicking right now, that's on me, because it just carries you. It just carries you. It flows so much better in the extended version. So much better. That the tranquility just of the elves. Damn.
Drink.
Punching out. I'm punching out. Take it away, Jeff. Just,
All
right.
myself.
Brian.
I mean, to be honest with you, everybody on this conversation has done a fantastic job of literally, like, I feel like I'm just going to repeat what they've all said. Especially Aston. We do this because we love seeing extended scenes and extended just footage because of the movies that we love. And there's always a cut, right? There's always, and nowadays you hear, like, release this cut, release a Snyder cut, release that. We knew that, movie studios, they have to do it within 2.5, 3 hours. But at the same time, the directors and the producers are like, there's so much that we want to show, which is why, we have the extended cut. So I just don't want to, like, repeat what everyone has said. I mean, literally, they're just totally on target. I'm just a gigantic fan of seeing the extra footage. And I think Lord of the Rings, to be honest with you,
That's okay. I'm sure Andres, the pop culture guy, will repeat the same shit everybody else said for you anyway. So
cold-blooded, just cold-blooded, like cold-blooded.
Yeah, no, I'm not. Yeah, I'm not trying to repeat. That's the thing. I wasn't trying to repeat. It's fantastic to see this because I love seeing behind the scenes shit. I really do. Like, House of the Dragon. I will watch every single behind the scenes thing. Like, I'm a behind the scenes person. So I just didn't want to take up too much time literally repeating what everyone else said because it's 100% true.
I'm a like have a chick come like give me a BJ underneath the fucking desk like during a live stream, like moderating a show type of motherfucker. You know what I'm saying? You feel me?
I mean,
are we on Kick or something? Like, did I miss something? Are we on Kick or something? Like, what's going on? Is there like an OnlyFans backlink or like what's going on?
Andres the pop culture guy, sir.
Yes. Yeah. Uh, no. Well, we haven't brought up Viggo Mortensen's character, the Ranger. He's great. He's one of those. Definitely my favorite characters of the film. Like he's very mysterious, and you start to like him when he's telling our main characters how to survive, and all that. So he's very intriguing with these few moments we see him before we get to know more about him later on. And man, those creatures, they come from the evil mountains, the men in black, the wraiths. Man, their horses were so creepy. They were covered in blood. They're like zombies almost, and I was like, wow, creepy. Like that's one thing I appreciate with this film. Like you can see Peter Jackson horror background, like seeping in the Lord of the Rings. That really helps to like ground the film. If you haven't seen, as one of our friends brought up, the Frighteners, but he has done other things like, oh my god, brain, I forgot like some of his like crazy horror movies that before he became more mainstream before the Lord of the Rings, and you see that here in this like very creepy chase with the wraiths and these little men, um, and the score by Howard Shore is really great in these scenes too. I mean, like you can hear the main theme of of this franchise, like sleeping in before the main one hits when they travel to the evil mountains. And first stuff, and just wrapping up, Christopher Lee, great villain, Dracula himself. He's the goat of this film. I mean, the way he beats up McNeil here is fantastic. He's like, "Here, you want to take this?" Bam! And then he gets so bloody, like you see some screams, and he takes his staff and is like, "Grr, take that, you stupid mutant!" And then he pulls him up through the roof. It's like crazy. I mean, I mean, one of the best wizard fights I ever seen. I mean, besides Voldemort versus oh my god, yeah, Voldemort versus Dumbledore in the Order of the Phoenix. If you haven't seen Harry Potter, so yeah, yes, thank you, Count Dooku. Yes, Count Dooku is awesome. So yeah, I had to say that. I just think he's a great villain. I'm so happy he's part of this franchise. He's great in part 2.
Middle-aged Tim.
So I think this is where we really kind of end. This is where the no movie ends, and this is where the beginning of the Fellowship of the Golden Halo begins. And so what people don't realize is that after Bilbo's birthday and the gold band is handed off to the Baggins boy, it's 17 years between that and when the staff wielder returns and asks where it's at and sends him on his way. And so this is where the story really jumps off. And this is where the character development of the wee ones begins. I mean, and it's a slow burn. We're allowed to see this character development over 3 movies in a very long and drawn out way, which you wouldn't have gotten had it been a much shorter run. And because right now their biggest worry is this is the furthest I've ever been from the land of the wee folk, when they're in that cornfield, and he's like, it's okay, take the next step, we'll keep going. And most of them aren't taking it very seriously right up until they're on that trail and they're, harvesting those mushrooms. And then, they think they hear something, and the Baggins boys like, hey, I think we should get off the road. And that's when we see the Dark Riders show up, and they sense that possibly it's very near. And that's when Bilbo's nephew starts to really feel the pull for the first time of the evil of this object, try to, force him to put it on so it can tell, its master where it's at. And which is interesting too, because I think he pulls that scene from the 79 cartoon because it's almost identical to that. And at that point, he takes it more seriously. And, so they make their way onto the human town, to the Prancing Pony, and they get in there. And this is where I think we start to get an interesting thing that they do film-wise too. that Peter Jackson does, and where people are talking with their eyes, because our first introduction to Strider is him sitting in the corner and you don't really see him, and he tokes on his pipe and you see the eyes and stuff, and you see kind of some of the fear in our main character's eyes too, as he's there, like realizing like, I really need to like kind of lay low and not let people know who I am. And the other three are just partying, having a good time, drinking. And they're like, oh yeah, you're asking about, Bilbo's nephew's right over here, and stuff. He's like, oh, you fool, and then that's when Strider gets up and tries to intervene. So this is where, it's starting to sink in at a very, low level, that this is serious, just between their encounter already with the race, and then the people there, once they realize who's there, you can see them all looking and realizing like, hey, this is somebody we should take note of, like somebody's looking for this guy. So I think it's a pretty good build up to the beginning of what's going to be a very long and like such slow burn of a story, but a fantastic ride that we're going to take, and it's just going to keep building from there in intensity, as far as what the characters have to deal with and how they choose to deal with it.
Are going to take off.
Some of them going to bomb.
Just like they've bombed in the comics.
What about this guy? You think this guy can make it for the Avengers?
Diamond Days, a ninja teaching flicks. I didn't let me see the sign there. Come on in here, ninja. Here's my ninja. Diamond Days Ninja School. Come on down. What we're going to teach you, hold that, Lord, and what we're going to teach you in our first episode is a proper stance and a proper kung fu. And you got your Judy chop, all right? You got your karate chop, and you got your ninja chop. Now, what smart thing to do is like when you use a judo chopping, you got to say it, for you beginners, like a Judy chop. Because what you don't want to do is I could be a Judy chopping and a kung fu kicking, and there goes your leg. There ain't much hauling for a one-legged ninja out there. Right there, hard as a rock, buddy. Let me show you something. I had last time, baby. Don't put it in front of your face. I don't want to hurt you. You got me? Now, what we're going to do here, we're going to work on the ninja chops. What we're going to do. You go a ninja chop. Well, now see, now sometimes it don't always work for a ninja. But it practice makes it perfect. Don't go ninja nobody, don't need ninja. Alrighty? Now, them things there, if I was put them in my pockets, they'd get me for concealment of a deadly weapons. They say you got your son fella coming at you out in the trailer park. Regular cannon-backer, you say? No, says I. Watch this, people. Yeah, we just rolling through the trailer park. What's that? What's that fella doing? Ninja start! Right there. That son fella jumps out behind a trailer on you. You got to put them on out yonder like that, and you can't get him caught up in his ninja outfit, And like if a feller's coming at you with...
Dude, that guy lived right next door to me, man.
What the hell was that weapon he pulled out there, DM? Was that a crack pipe? Like,
it looked like a damn skull can or something, didn't it?
Where did you find that?
That guy that he said that in, that is his interview tape for the Special Olympics Avengers.
That dude don't stand.
Judo chop. That's something from back in what was that movie, The Spy Who Shagged Me or whatever. Austin Powers.
I figured you'd like that, Rick.
Yeah.
That was good, right?
Oh yeah.
Hey Jeff, I just want to say something. I never realized Gunner is in that video, and I never realized that's Gunner in that video.
Yeah, that's Gunner in there. Yeah, I can't believe Gunner actually came on the show the other night. That was crazy.
Yeah, mystery man, crazy.
Yeah, he finally decided to show back up. Me and Andre's the pop culture guy are past our 1 year anniversary doing our Monday show together every Monday. So hats off to us. Hats off to me and Andre.
Congrats.
Thank you.
So who's taking who out? Who's taking who out to dinner?
Oh well, he lives in Jersey. I live in Southwest Florida. So
that's just quitter talk.
So
there's a halfway point in there somewhere.
Just to step away from the film really quick, I just wanted to go ahead and throw a little side question, a little side segment in here. So 2001 box office wise, what we ended up with that year was Harry Potter and the Sorcerer's Stone, Shrek, Monsters Incorporated, Rush Hour 2, The Mummy Returns, Pearl Harbor, Jurassic Park 3, Planet of the Apes, Hannibal, The Lord of the Rings, Fellowship of the Ring. Oh, Drake twice. American Pie 2, The Fast and Furious. Holy shit. Fast and Furious. I saw it that year. Ocean's 11. Let's see. Lara Croft, Tomb Raider, Traffic, and Castaway, Crouching Tiger, Hidden Dragon, Doolittle 2, Spy Kids, The Princess Diaries, The Others, Legally Blonde, American Sweethearts, Cats and Dogs, Say the Last Dance, AI, Artificial Intelligence, that was pretty good, Training Day, Along Came a Spider, What Women Want, Bridget Jones' Diary, Scary Movie 2, The Score, Swordfish, The Middle Sky, Shallow Hale, Domestic and Miscongeniality, Down to Earth, Spy Game, The Wedding Planner, The Animal, Moulin Rouge, Exit Wounds, K-Pax, Behind Enemy Lines, Finding Forrester, Zoolander, etc. Pretty weak year, film-wise. What do you think, guys? Brian, what are your thoughts?
I mean, I'll go ahead and say it. I mean, we were a victim of just cinema at the same time. Like, we were watching whatever was coming out at that time. Granted, Lord of the Rings, phenomenal. Am I saying all those movies that you named were great? What's that?
Drink.
Oh, gotcha. So, yes, drink. But, I mean, it was still a golden era for cinema at the same time. Like, we're before Redbox. We're before streaming, to where everybody was like, look, we're going to go to the movies. So, I mean, we're not at that stage yet to where it's like, all right, well, I can wait for, this to come on Netflix. I mean, at that time, Netflix was literally, they were shipping DVDs out. So my thing is, yes, was the competition great? Not so much, but we were still accustomed to what was going on at the time, which was still going to the movies. And
not another teen movie came out that year. That's a pretty good movie. Snatch came out with with Brad Pitt. Yeah. That was good. The Brothers, Joe Dirt, The Musketeer, Crocodile Dundee in Los Angeles. Memento came out that year.
Yeah.
Driven.
This all sounds better than anything we got in the last 3 years.
Right.
If you take that
catalog,
shit.
Yeah. Right.
Like what
at
like,
the same time, like that's what we had to choose from. And you know what? In those days, we still went to the movies. And it was like, you know what? Fuck it. Let's just go see this shit if it's even worth a damn. I saw the first Fast and Furious before my kid came out. And I was like, you know what? I know what it's going to be. Fast cars, Vin Diesel, the dude from Bar City Blues. Let's just go check this shit out, right? That's literally what the movie was made for. And they just kept doing that until they could stop doing that, because then came Redbox, then came Netflix, and then came everything else. So, it's not one of those things to where Lord of the Rings did well because there was garbage coming out at the same time. Lord of the Rings did well because it was actually a well-done movie. Plain and simple. It's not like if it came out now, oh, well, this movie would go straight to Hulu or go straight to Amazon Prime or Netflix. Like, this shit will still crush in theaters.
Yeah.
Plain and simple. And that's all it is. Like, I appreciate you, Jeff, with spouting out those facts. But at the same time, that was a different time because we were still used to going to the movie theater at that time. Like, even then, like Facebook just getting started, social media just getting started, so that's all. I mean, I will say yes, it went up against a lot of heavy hitters, but I still think it did very well with the low expectations, because a lot of people did have low expectations because a lot of them were not fanboys. Like, and I told you guys straight out.
All right, let me move on to middle-aged Tim. Middle-aged Tim, what do you have any thoughts on that film list I just mentioned right there? Anything that struck a chord for you?
Yeah, I can't believe we're talking about this movie when we could have been talking about exit wounds. That's all I got to say.
Whoa, love
Nice,
it, bro.
nice,
Love it.
nice. I'm the pop culture guy.
I mean,
What
yeah.
do you think about that list? What do you think about that list, sir?
Well, 2001 was a better year than the 2000 films. Like 2001 was a great year. I mean, come on. Like, you brought up what was it? Ocean 11, and Training Day, which is great. The first Fast and Furious. That year was a great year. I mean, it's a great year for fantasy films, really. Like, the fact that we got that and Harry Potter back to back, I mean, it's crazy. So I can't believe it's been how many years? 23 years now since its release. It still looks good.
We appreciate Dan the Joe Gaspich on in the comment section, and of course Matt. What's up, Matt?
Yeah.
Going over to you, Mr. Rick, sir.
There was a lot of films that you had mentioned that for me are really good. There are some that are kind of weak and some that are, I wouldn't even pay no mind to. But as far as I know it, from what I understand, this was a time period before, like Brian had already said, it's a time period before what we got now. So the movie industry could take a lot more risks because it might not pan out in the box office, but they could still recoup some earnings through selling, VHS, DVD, home videos, and stuff like that. And nowadays, that's not really an option. So you don't have as much risk taking as far as what kind of movies are coming out. They kind of just like, this is the sure bet. So we're just going to go with that so that we can make sure that we get what we need to get out of this movie when it goes to the theater. And unfortunately, it's not helping the audience. That is a bad thing. So, and we could see it. I mean, take a look around. I mean, there's nothing but junk coming out, So that's what I got.
Aston.
Not to piggyback off our boy Dungeon Master Elite, but for sure, I would say that there's such a stark contrast in just the quality of like the approach to it. It wasn't approached like, first off, him being the first to ever do it. Like we gotta cut him so much slack, and there's no slack we need to cut because it really is a masterpiece. And the testament of it is that we are now in 2024, and there is yet to be a single, like, forget a franchise, name one fantasy movie that is that. And people say the source material. No, this was beyond the source material. This was like kids dressing up as like little Cabbage Patch guys running around barefoot with bare feet and stuff like that. Like, this was beyond. This was like everything from PlayStation 2. Like it exceeded anything, and I would say it normalized fantasy, like, in general, to like the mainstream audience, because like you're a dungeon master, I'm a game master also as well, and like you can remember what it was like pre those movies and post those movies, and without that you don't actually have like Big Bang Theory. You don't have a lot of these things, because Spider-Man, for example, was like, I'm pretty sure Spider-Man was only enhanced by them saying, okay, if Peter Jackson can do this, we need to start getting a bigger budget too for these sort of movies, because look what they did there. Like, it's for me, when you see like those deleted scenes and how they were put in, like this all cost money. I think Brian mentioned that earlier. Like, this all cost money. Every take, this wasn't cheap CGI like half of Marvel stuff has been lately. Like this is like legit sets. They have to work after this place got flooded, and they have to like everything from like, for example, Viggo Mortensen showed up day of shooting. He wasn't there for like the 2 months and stuff, and to see like, especially in the extended cut with all that other footage, how he really took to the character. They don't do that with movies today at all. Like every movie is like what Jeff even has said countless times on this show is like, fans, we don't care what it is as long as you tell us a convincing story. Why is it that Blade is still one of the top 5 Marvel movies, period? Like why? Why is that still in like the conversation when you've had billions of dollars, billions, the eyeballs of people who never read a comic in their life, but are wearing these T-shirts, dressing their kids in this merchandise? Like the bar has never been lower, yet we're getting nothing that's even close to a Lord of the Rings. Like even when Amazon Bezos is behind it, like it's crazy because like I got emotional watching this movie. I think y'all could like pick up because it takes me back to a great time in my life. And then just to see like there's nothing that has even come close. Like not even Game of Thrones. Nothing is that close.
Hot D.
Period.
What about that night? What about that night?
I deserved it. I deserved it.
How was that night for you?
I mean, I just real quick. I know I'm on a time limit and this and the other, but goodness gracious, he could not have said it any better. Like when Blade came out, that shit was so fire, and it's still fire and relevant to this day, and literally saved like Marvel. Before the MCU, before we had an X-Men film, we had a black superhero crushing it in a perfect role, and people were just quick to be like, "Well, that's not MCU. Get the fuck out of here. That's a Marvel character."
I'm not,
Right,
Brian. I'm not flipping you off. I'm flipping Matt off.
No, you're good. You're good. But yeah, I mean it's yes, just
Good point.
Aston, fantastic. That's all. That's all I'm gonna say. Fantastic.
Thanks.
What's
Thanks,
that?
guys.
What were you saying, Rick?
That's a good point. I said these are good points, man.
All right. You know what? Well, here, let's jump back into the actual film itself. We end up we stopped we just got done wrapping up the whole river top deal, right? And so we know that basically what ends up happening is that after the halflings are chased by the Ends, and they have the attack on Weathertop, Mr. F is wounded, and it is only through basically Arwen's rescue that she's able to like facilitate Mr. F's injuries in Rivendell being being straightened out. So we go to Rivendell, and we have the council, right? After Mr. F wakes up and he sees that Bilbo's there and all that, and like all his friends are there, and they have the whole Fellowship Council deal, right? Seeing all that, right? Where basically young Mr. F says, "I'll carry the R, the round object that you put on your finger, to Mordor," right? So they establish the Fellowship, and they take off, to head to Mordor and get rid of the ring, right? So Drake. So
I gotta get beer coming back.
Okay. Upon trying to head, towards Mordor, they get screwed up because Mr. S causes them to have snow drop on them and all this crazy shit, and they get their way cut off, and they have to end up going through the mines of Moria, and they discover Balin's tomb, and they have the battle down there with the orcs, and the confrontation with the Bullrog, right, where we lose the tall G-man with the hat and the stick, You know what I'm saying? He's gone, right? So I'll stop there. I'll go to you first, Aston. Your thoughts on that part of the film, sir? I know it's a big swath of the film.
Well, I'm going to keep reverting back to that we're talking about the extended cut, because the exposition you get about the dwarves and just leading into him being helpless, like seeing the big G-man himself, having to figure this out, like Magneto is kind of stumped, and then these little frail halflings, somehow like just their presence. It's like it's weird how it's done, and it doesn't like seem cheesy or anything. And as it's sad because like you feel like Ian McKellen's character, something's up. Like he doesn't want to go down there, even though he wants to keep everybody safe. He still, reluctantly wants to go down there. And it's because when he does face this, like for me, like that's why I got this like D&D old screen like taped up to the window and stuff, because I equate, this franchise was such an influence to me as like a dungeon master, as like all of that sort of stuff, because like the Balrog to me is like the type of bad guy I'm going to throw in like a lot of dungeons starting out, because that like thou shall not pass. Now that should have been in the list. Like that like how many times have we all pulled that out? Like literally pulled that out, pause on anybody, like thou shall not pass, like, and it's gripping the entire way through, like the helplessness of the scope, like, and then when you think of what CG, like the issues they're having with the remastering and the digitization and stuff, because I don't know if you guys noticed this, but like there'll be like different color filtering issues, and you have to like color grade stuff, but like it's weird because they did this when there was like pixelated like polygon sort. They weren't working with the best graphics, so these big army scenes they had to redo them. But the sad thing is they try to make it look more like they try to connect the series, both franchises, and by doing that, some scenes don't look as good if you're looking at on a big screen. And I think all of us have these big files, like these big Blu-rays, for the sole purpose of enjoying this at like the best sort of quality we can. And then sometimes when you see that degradation and stuff, but it's just a testament to how good it is, because I never noticed it till recently, until I watched a YouTube video and this guy points it out blatantly, like, and I'm like, wow, that is crazy. I didn't notice that before. And yeah, like that scene specifically, those scenes specifically highlight that because of the background. And when they pull out and show you the scope of this dungeon in the newer version, like they don't get to fall on the darkness, because this is now like, what was it, a 4 or 5K scan of all this stuff, which people said it was, but it really wasn't, because you still see certain things a little slightly degraded. This is me maybe being a douche, maybe a little bit I'm being a douche, but it's weird because you pay a lot of money for these files. Like even when you buy them, they're not any cheaper when you get them on demand and stuff. But yeah, that's just one thing which I did notice in those scenes. Even though they're greatly shot and stuff, they still look great. When I looked at them on my big 60-something inch screen at my bro's place, I did see that in some parts of the animations and like the backgrounds. And that's me punching out. You don't got to hit me, Jeff.
No problem, sir. Middle-aged Tim.
It's a great part of the movie. I mean, so they get to Rivendell, and they're having their council, council of the circular gold band, and talking about what they're going to do with the now that they're with all the pointy-eared ones. And this is where the cinematography gets really interesting in this film, because it shows that it makes the Golden Band its own character. Because one of the things I found most interesting is that when they start arguing as to who's going to carry this thing to Mordor, you start to see the scene, but you're actually seeing it inside the Gold Band itself, like on the outside of it, it's being reflected. And that's that circlet causing this chaos among them and enjoying every moment of it. Because there's sounds that, like, when it's in the scenes and stuff, like whether it's being found or whether it's trying to influence somebody, there's always some kind of sounds and stuff going on to kind of represent that it's almost a character in itself. And
Yeah,
so,
they call it the black speak.
yeah. And so that's what you're kind of seeing, is that it's causing that chaos and that argument among them. And that's when we get, the hairy-footed one that steps up and he says, look, I'll take it. And this is another scene where now you get the gray one. You see that look of pain in his eyes where he's like, he's the natural choice, but it pains me to see him take on this burden. You know what I mean? Like, it's so unfair to him. And the reason that they can do it is because, the wee folk, they don't have any ambition. They're just happy-go-lucky people. So that's why they can handle this thing the way they can, and nobody else. Like men, the drow and the dwarves, they're all easily corrupted by this thing. So it's a very pivotal moment, and it's very important. And once they establish that, okay, he's going to be the one to take it, then that's where you get certain members step up and they're like, look, I will go with you. It's interesting because this is the only time you'll ever see Frodo and Legolas actually speak to each other, where Legolas stands up and says, "You have my vote."
Drake.
Oh, yeah. Sorry.
Drake.
I finally dropped it. Sorry, guys. But that is the only time you will see the two of them have a conversation. Otherwise, through the rest of the movie, they never talk, which I always thought was kind of interesting. And then you get Gimli, you'll have my axe, and Aragorn, you'll have my sword, and then you also get Boromir, and he's like, I will go as well. And then the other three, hairy-footed ones are like, we will go as well. So it forms, now we have our fellowship, and they're on their way to going. And so it's just such a great scene, and there's so much that's going on there, and it's for what's said and what's not said, that's really well done in this. If you're paying attention, there's so much that's not being said that you're still picking up on if you're paying attention. So I think that's fantastic.
Okay, I will go with Brian next.
Yeah, I mean, I agree. It's more on what's not being said, but at the same time, it just sets it up so great for the second part, right? Like, you see, it's like, okay, we're going to come in, we're going to do all this. And then it's like, oh no, Frodo, you and your boy got to go to the side.
Drake.
Go over here. We already lost somebody over
Drake.
here. Of course. Yeah, sorry. Sean Bean, God bless him. He's already said, as you all may know, I will join whatever you want to join, but I am no longer dying in all of these movies or shows or whatever the hell. And obviously that came after Game of Thrones. But that being said, I mean, it's still so pivotal. And it just, as a fan, whether if you know the books or not, like, how can you not wait for the second movie after that scene? You just like, okay, well, they're going to go off to the side. You still have like a glimpse of Gollum or G-Man. I don't know if we're still doing the
Drake.
Yep. All right. Sorry. And then
I think Jeff's trying to turn us into drunks low key.
More and more of a glimpse of G-Man. But I think it's done so well, especially in the extended edition, because the extended edition is really, as fans, whether if you're a true diehard fan and read the books, which like I said before, I have not, I'd much rather see the director's cut, especially when they're passionate about the film. I don't want to see a director's cut just because they were made to do a movie. This was Peter Jackson's like passion project from day one, and how he went from doing Dead Alive, all those other like pretty much B horror movies, to having an entire trilogy in his hands. It was because of his passion for doing it. So, I'll just cut it. I'll cut it there. I think it's just very, very well done. I mean, how can you not want to watch a sequel after that? It just keeps you hanging and just wants you to just keep rooting for everybody that's going on there, even though, people are going to, they're not all going to make it. And if you're not a fan and you never read the books, you're still watching and you're just like, I don't care. I want to know what's going to happen next. So that's my take on it.
I'm just a pop culture guy.
So this part is my favorite of the film. Finally, we got the team together, and they can do their fellowship of the Tesseract, which is great. So, so it was very good to finally, get moving and get this cosmic cube to this destination. But it was great to see the different culture, the dwarfs and the elves and all that. And
Drake.
Oh, I knew it. The elves.
Twice.
You ain't even drinking, man. This is
All right.
haram right now.
I'm sorry.
Andres, let me help you out. The pointy-eared ones.
Yeah, the pointy-eared ones.
Or the Spocks. Go with either one of those, sir. Either one.
Oh,
The
Spocks,
woodland
yeah,
creatures.
The Spocks. Yeah, the Spocks.
DM with the save, slides into third.
Oh my god, my bad. I knew it was either that or the dwarfs, but whatever. Yeah, it was great to see that. And yeah, I agree. Like Orlando Bloom. I mean, this is before Pirates came out in 2003, so he wasn't yet the big star.
He was young.
Yeah, he was
Man,
very
this
young.
is his career. Let's not
Yeah,
lie. This is his career, okay? He's still playing the same role, and he gonna keep playing the same role. Sorry, Jay.
175,000.
Yeah, but he gets this role like a couple weeks after he finishes like doing acting school. I mean, the dude's amazing.
Yeah.
Yeah,
He said with the 175,000 he earned, he said that he would have done it for half as much, and he still would have done it.
I'd done it for free.
Yeah.
Damn straight,
Residuals coming in,
damn
too.
straight.
Yeah.
I would have done it if I could have banged the two chicks from the movie.
Oh my god.
Yo,
You gotta name them. Gotta name them.
Let's do that. Yeah, you got to name them. You can't just say
Tyler.
chicks. You got to name the chicks.
Liv Tyler was my everything,
Liv
man.
Tyler and what's her name?
Kate
Blanchett?
Kate Blanchett. Yeah.
Okay.
Jeff, I would
thought
give
you-
anything to see you, Liv Tyler, and Steve Tyler at a Thanksgiving dinner together.
Yo, Dre he would slay
the whole
at that.
episode right
Dre
there.
would slay at that.
I would pay for a seat at that table.
Yeah.
That's a social media clip right there.
Oh
That
yeah.
would be a video on this show.
Yeah, Jeff will put it in the middle of our discussion.
When I was on the Board to Watch review of the second film, I was talking about fucking hobbits and shit like that. Oh, Drake.
Oh, we got Drake.
Hey!
Oh, like,
He's making me pay for that comment. And drink.
Yeah. Thanks a lot, Jeff. Anyway, well, first up, the death of Magneto. Oh my god, such a powerful scene. Like when he say, well, first off, I mean, I agree with everyone here. Like, you shall not pass. Great line, iconic. It's become meme. I mean, the Big Bang Theory did that in this first season, which is crazy. But when he falls down to the pit and he's like, "Fly, you fools," and it's like, oh, and the score. This is where Howard Shore, the composer, just hits you with that famous score called the. I cannot say it. It's just tough. The Condenser of Doom, which it's been used so many times in trailers. Like if you've seen the Man of Steel teaser, they use that song to like give you that dark, Superman feel to it. Right? That is so iconic, and it still gets to me. Like even either the cut or the extended, it still hits you so strongly. Like it's just so powerful. It's just yeah. And I hate Count Dooku. That damn old bitch trying to kill my boy Magneto. It's just crazy. So but no worry, he's gonna get. Yeah. So no worry, Count Dooku is gonna get his command this next time. So yeah, that's all I have to say. Great section. One of my favorite things. We got an octopus. That's great. Like we got monsters. So yeah, it's good.
What's up, Comic Book Dimension? Middle-aged Tim.
Give me the question again. We've gotten so far off track now. I think I already talked. Yeah.
I think I'm the only one who
I
hasn't.
already went to you, Rick. I'm sorry, Rick.
Yeah. Okay, but I'll say the Balrog was awesome too. There we go. All right, we go.
So, kind of piggybacking off of what Andres said about the octopus, the Watcher in the Deep kind of really does. It's really cool that it's in this as well as the Balrog, because it shows a little taste, just a tiny little taste of the world building that makes up this compilation of stories in this masterpiece that was written by Tolkien as the Lord of the Rings. And there's so much lore out there. And the thing that's so cool is that while there's so much lore and there's so much information that you can now scour the internet to find, there's also deliberately no mention of certain things, because Tolkien wanted the audience to interpret it for however they would interpret it for their own lived experiences. But going back to the larger part of the section, there's a lot of character building. In particular, two characters that I would like to really talk about, aside from the whole, this is like a whole D&D thing, like they leave out from Rivendell as this adventuring party, and like for someone who grew up on Dungeons and Dragons and RPGs and all that stuff, you get that feel, man. You've got like the fighter, you've got the wizard, you've got the thieves and stuff. It's like you're like, yeah, let's do this, you know. But going back to those characters, um Master Baggins, I don't want to say the wrong name. Master Baggins shines a lot in this one, and you can actually see that relationship develop between him and our resident wizard. So much so that it becomes even more impactful, and you can see it in Elijah Wood's acting and how his character really feels about the death of his buddy, of his friend. And you can see not only this relationship building, but you also see the character itself being someone who maybe at first all the other characters in the story might have wrote him off as just this small little halfling that really can't do anything to take care of himself. But time after time, he is showing that no, he is not just some halfling. This is a beast, man. This guy, he can do riddles. He's got some measure of combat, experience. He's got this dagger, he's got this armor, he's got all these different tricks and trinkets, and he knows how to use them. He's got a good moral compass, and time after time throughout this particular section of the film, he shows that he can bring it. The other person who I think maybe some of you might disagree is Pippin. Pippin in this particular part of the film is instrumental to the entire quest. A lot of people, when at first glance, you write Pippin off as just this fool. I even say it, fool of a toque. He's impetuous. He does things that are awful. He says things that are bad. However, he's quite lucky. And throughout most of this, he kind of goes unscathed. And without his bumbling, you wouldn't have had a actual white wizard. In I don't want to say his name, but he rhymes with Randolph, okay? He transforms in the next movie into a white wizard, and that would not have happened if he wasn't forced to fight and kill the Balrog. They both died, but apparently the creator god brought Randolph back so that he can actually be the actual white wizard. So that would have never happened if Pippin didn't touch that decrepit, it looks like a decrepit dwarf that was taking a shit. Let's be honest. It looks like he was taking a shit in the well. But he touched it. He got curious and he touched it, and that thing fell down, the bucket fell down, all that stuff, and one thing led to another. And you see it time and
the hoes are laughing.
Yep.
So the audience are a bunch of hoes.
Yep.
The hose is laughing.
But I'll keep coming back to this throughout the other films. Pippin is instrumental through the whole entire quest. Everything that he touches turns, honestly, it almost turns to gold, you guys.
That is honestly one of the best fucking reviews I've heard is about Pippin in general. So God bless you for that.
All right, my man. One thing to rule them, one thing to find them, one thing to bring them all, and in the darkness bind them. I'm out.
Yeah.
Well, and if I could add on for a second, I think the other thing we missed is a real pivotal moment where Gandalf has that side, discussion with, it's drink with the Baggins boy, where he's like, I wish this had never happened. I wish I'd never gotten this ring. And he's like, none of us wish for these things to happen, but it's what we decide to do about it with the time that we have left. And that's the talk that gives him, the determination to do what he needs to do later on. He goes back to that. And it's so important, they have that moment together because he solidifies his resolve there. It's just a very important and pivotal moment that if you're not paying attention, you completely miss almost.
Yep.
All right. Trailer time. If anybody needs to go to the bathroom or grab a drink or anything, go ahead and do it.
I need to grab a drink.
Legend tells of a ring created by believed lost for centuries. It has now been... This is the one ring forged by the Dark Lord Sauron. Sauron needs only this ring to cover all the lands of a second darkness. He's seeking it. Seeking it all. His thought is bent on it.
No one knows it's here, do they? Do they, Gandalf?
The weapon of the enemy is a gift. Let us use it against him.
You cannot wield it. None of us can.
The ring must be destroyed.
It was made in the fires of Mount Doom. Only there can it be unmade.
I know what I must do, but I'm afraid to do it.
One does not simply walk into Mordor.
There is no other way. There's something down there.
Are you frightened?
Yes.
Not nearly frightened enough.
All right, there we go. Okay, so Lothlorien, the Fellowship has a respite in Lothlorien, which I'll let you guys discuss and talk about. What goes on with Lady Galadriel and all that. And the Eve people, the Eve folk, right? But basically, we have the whole period where we have the scenes where we have the whole Fellowship spending time there in Lothlorien. And then basically the E people sending them off, right, to continue on their quest, right, which ends up leading to the breaking of the Fellowship. When as they lead off in their boats downriver, you have Boromir try to steal the ring from Mr. F, and then that leads up to the attack by the Uruk-hai, right? Which leads to them having that sort of final battle where you have Boromir sort of like commit the sin of trying to steal the ring and then redeem himself by fighting for for Merry and Pippin and all that towards there at the end of that scene. I'll stop there. Go to you, middle-aged Tim. Your thoughts on that passage of the film, sir? Oh, Tim's not here yet. I'll go to you, Aston.
Oh, so we got up to, we're talking about the Urukai scene when it was conceived.
All,
and he was
all the way,
looking-
all the way up until before Boromir dies.
Okay. So what I love about the extended version is the fact that we get so much more of Boromir with their interactions, including that one with Strider when they both get tripped up, because in the original cinematic cut, it's only Boromir who gets tripped up. They don't trip up Viggo Mortensen's character whatsoever. So when you look at, see what I did there? I called him Strider. You see what I see what I did there? See what I did there? But when it goes, when that the build up, we got to remember that they didn't have drones back then. They didn't have a lot of the tech we have, like the shortcuts that they could do today. These are all takes, continuous takes that they had to do. And when it comes to the score, the way they follow through the combat, let's be honest, like the highlight of fantasy combat for a lot of folks was Hercules, Xena Warrior Princess,
Yep.
or Merlin. Like for me, it was Merlin with Sam Neill. That was like for me the pinnacle of fantasy done right, or at least shot well, because like the cinematography on that was epic. So the second I saw what they were doing in the extended cut, like I'm like, okay, this is really paying attention to the choreographies, to the fights. And it's weird because they didn't lose their rating with the extended cut, but they had the blade lick. You know what I mean? That goofy little, blade lick with the Urukai and stuff. And it's weird when you think about, like, wait, that wasn't in the original? I'm like, yeah, they took it out because they were worried about. I'm like, the fall of Boromir, him dying, it's like it hits that much heavier in the extended cut. Because that whole scene in the dark corridors, like, 2-3 wrap-ups earlier, that really comes into play now, because it's like maybe he wasn't so selfish. He proved he wasn't. He didn't truly fall to that. He was loyal to them at the end. And yeah, like I really liked that combat scene. I remember the first time I watched it, like it was like just amazing, because I'm like, nah, like what's like I'm like, like there's supposed to be a continuation, how the story goes, but like you're so like gripped and caught up in it, and it still has that same magnitude, I feel, and like scope, because it isn't just like 4 or 5 guys in cheap costumes. Like, no, they're rotating them, the choreography, they're making contact. It really works. And of course, like it's the beginning of Sean Bean just really being good at dying, as our boy Brian over there just said. So yeah, that's me wrapping up. Middle-aged Tim, you back, bro?
I'm back.
All right, Tim.
So,
I'm going to you. Did you hear the part of the film I discussed?
Yeah, are we going up to Boromir's death? Is that where we're going to?
Before that, yeah.
Just before that, okay. So I think we're out of the mines now, and unfortunately the Gray One has fallen. So, but they don't have time to mourn this. They just got to get up and move forward, because they know that they're being pursued by the orcs now. So they head over to Lotharin, and they to hopefully to get a little sanctuary.
Lothlorien.
Yeah, Lothlorien. Thank you. And they're hoping to get a little bit of shelter from the Eladrin there. And when they get there, they're like, hey, you've brought a horrible evil with you, and you can't stay here. And after much convincing from Strider and from our pointy-eared friend Legolas, they convince them that they can come there. And so they're able to come in, and this is a really fantastic scene, because we get to see, the land of the fair ones, and I like how Jackson like portrays each of the worlds very differently. Like the world of man's kind of dirty, and it kind of what you expect. We're kind of the lower life form here. The dwarves are a little bit more put together, but they live in mountains, so it's always very dark, very, they're very symmetrical, things like that. And then you get to, the archers, and their worlds are very magical and full of light and wonder, and it's just something to behold. And he does a great job of portraying that. And it looks like a very magical land that you get to check out, and it's really awesome. And then you get to finally meet Gladriel, and and she's everything you could think of when they're talking about the the sorceress that lives in the in the forest. Well, it's her, and and she's one of the ring bearers, as we find out. She's actually one of the 3 L's holding a ring. So, but she's just majestic. You just look upon her and you're just like, I almost want to avert my eyes, because she's just so beautiful and so perfect, and it's interesting that she counsels them, and as they're talking, she's still having separate conversations with each one of the the fellowship and stuff, and she realizes, like, they're talking about, like, the fellowship is breaking. It's already broke. Like, they've lost their they've lost their patron. They've lost the person that set them out on this path, and it's broken them in mind and spirit, and there's not a lot of recovering. And she knows, like, look, it's going to keep falling apart from here. And she's, trying to warn, Bilbo's nephew about that and everything. And so it basically, you realize, like, this is coming to an end and something's going to change. And, you see it in his eyes, he's like, she kind of basically tells him, like, you're going to have to make a very heavy decision here because bad things are about to happen, and then she gives them each an item that she thinks will help them on their way and hopefully help them along in their adventures. And it's very, very cool because everything's kind of well thought out, and, each piece that's handed out plays a role later on, except for the 3 hairs that she hands Gimli, which is a huge thing because dwarves and elves hate each other. And just the fact that Gimli was so courteous.
Drake.
To her, and, and showed her such respect that she bequeathed these to him. So that was, most people understand the significance of that in this world building here and how, it's presented. So it's a huge, huge moment there too. But I think it's big. And I think, once we get to the shores, and, as they're traveling forward past this place, and, they know they're about to be, the orcs are about to catch up with them, so they're trying to wait for nightfall so they can, slip out under the cover of night. And that's when Boromir has his moment of weakness that we all knew was coming. I mean, that's the only part about this whole series that's pretty self-evident. I mean, this is going to happen, and I wish it wasn't so plainly, played out in the show. But I guess it has to be to some extent. But he has this moment of weakness, and it definitively breaks everything at that point. And then that's when the orcs come in and all hell breaks loose, and it changes the dynamic of the movie going forward.
I'm just a pop culture guy.
Going to I guess the Kate Blanchett's characters, like Homeland, I guess here was fantastic. I mean,
she's Galadriel, so you might as well get used to that name because that's the main character in the Lord of the Rings of Power series that we're going to be covering in the month.
Right, played by the actress from the A24 film Set Mon. Yeah, okay.
Drink, everybody.
Wait, what did I say?
Not you, Andres. Jeff. Jeff said it.
I did.
Okay.
He was trying to be up there, act like he didn't say nothing wrong.
Yeah, Jeff. How dare you?
I forgot I was plugging.
Yeah, that's true. Yeah, no worries.
You butt plugging, bro. You butt plugging, man.
Yeah.
I thought he was plugging.
Yeah, just now. Oh god, we're done. We're wrapping up. All right, folks. Thank you for joining the live stream. We're done here. We're gonna do plugs now. No. Getting to this section was very fun. I mean, after the death of Magneto was like, and getting to here was kind of like relaxing. It was kind of like going to a bathroom stop here. It was like, okay, like we're not endangered now, But something was really weird. Like it felt like a Nightmare Elm Street meets like Kroll, basically, especially like because like our main hero, Mr. Baggins, like gets this really dark vision of the main villain and like his hometown, Brooklyn, getting raided by the villains and all that. It's like, wow, this like again the horror aspect just kicks into this with this movie. Was really great. And kudos to the cinematography, because this movie won for best cinematography in the Oscars.
We
and
drinking, you getting tongue tied. Cinematography, cinematography. Like, come on, Dre. You in Jersey, bro. Like, get heavy with it. Come on, man. Own
I
it.
like cinematography. It's delicious.
Yeah, it's delicious. Yeah. Oh my god! Now you guys are like Mr. Rogers to me. It's like how spell cinematography. Cinematography. Okay, I get it, guys. All right, got it. All right, I was in the neighborhood with Mr. Rogers. Anyway, you know, good that he won for that because he really gives you like the distinct places that we're at, as Tim brought up, or one of our panelists here brought up. Like where we at. Like we're at in the man's world. It's dirty, grounded. Whenever we went to Brooklyn for Mr. Baggins, like that was like his hometown. We were at the mountains with the dwarfs. It was like their place. Like you knew it, and that's very amazing because rarely you get that. Like even Star Wars, like sometimes they struggle to do that. Like that's why I appreciate the prequel trilogy because the prequel trilogy gave us new environments. So
the settings,
yeah. So I really appreciate that in this section, and I think Aston, you brought up the Sean Bean's character. You can see how like the Tesseract take over, or the Mind Stone. Well, it's technically the Mind Stone. Like the Mind Stone, kind of making him just like what happened to Mr. Baggins' adopted father and all that, like obsessed with power and greed and all that, and you see that slowly consume him, and at the end he was faithful to the the fellowship of the Mind Stone, but just he was struggling. So it was really sad when we get to his death, which is really sad, and his long running gag of his death, which has been like that since the 90s. Poor fella.
Rick.
So I want to focus on Galadriel for a minute because there's a lot to say about her in particular, not just with this film adaptation, but also with what you were talking about. You're going to be doing some things with the TV series
That's
coming
right.
out. And I don't know if this is a bad thing raining on your parade, or I don't know what kind of stance you take on that. I will probably be watching it, despite the fact that I have some serious misgivings about the TV show. And the main thing that I got a gripe about is
I asked you if you would come over and cover it with us because we need help with it because we didn't have a lot of guests when we covered it last year or the year before, right? So that's why I asked you. I mentioned to you about with the schedule that we needed help with that.
Oh, okay. Yeah. I'll have to get that schedule, and I could definitely. I'm gonna be watching it, so I'll definitely go on and review that stuff with you guys. But with regard to the Galadriel in that compared to Galadriel in this is a pretty big difference, man, and it has a lot to do with the feminine and masculine qualities that you see in both of these same characters, and it's a problem because it's done right in this one. Not only is that aspect done right, but there's a lot of aspects done right in this, where it's not done in the TV series. It's like lore is not being paid too much attention in that one. But in this one, it is the primary focus. I mean, they had the book, several copies of the book on the set every moment.
Yeah.
People had it in their back pockets and stuff like that. They were talking about how can we keep it more authentic to Tolkien's memory, to honor Tolkien. And the TV show, to some degree, is a disgrace. You know what I'm saying? Because it doesn't honor Tolkien the way that it should. But getting back to Galadriel as a character, though, in this one, you see that feminine, like Tim said, she is enamored and she's exhibits this massive amount of beauty, and even when she's exhibiting some ferocity, it is not like she's gonna pick up a club and she's gonna start hitting people over the head and killing trolls and stuff using strength of physical prowess. You would definitely believe that she could kill a troll, but with the power of magic. You know what I'm saying? Like that's her bag. And to think that that she had to go with this other direction in TV series was a problem. But in this, it's done right because she has a feminine power and it's a magical power of foresight, of water, of telepathy, and that power of foresight, like Tim had already mentioned, she uses that to give the Fellowship the items that they need, not want, need, in order to move forward in the story, whether we're talking about the remainder of this film or the Two Towers or the Return of the King. Because each thing that was given was used and is used in such a way that almost it pretty much saved everyone's life in some form or fashion. So that is the power of foresight that she was able to use. And by the way, you got to talk about the Lembas bread. The Lembas bread is that's like one of the coolest scenes, especially when they actually really show it. And Orlando Bloom is like one small bite, and then the two halflings are like, "Yeah, man, I just ate 4."
Hey,
Like,
yo, that's all of us, bro. I think that's all of us. Like on a Sunday night when this movie came out, like like just snacks, man. Doritos, like by the bag, by the box load. Like just tip that into mom's trolley. We done here.
Cool
we done
Ranch.
here.
It's like turkey and a biscuit.
and the cool thing is that there's so much. I didn't even realize there's so much to talk about that whey bread. That apparently it's this like spiritual bread. It's only given
Mana,
to
yeah,
elves. You know, like it's this like real special stuff. You know, and if you really wanted to dig into the lore, it's present. It's there. You know what I mean? So there's a lot to talk about there. And the last thing that I
Well, hang on. We all have to drink since you said the E word.
oh, my bad. Oh, I did. My bad. Yeah. I should have said Eldar. I was prepared to say it, but that's because that's what they are.
Oh, we dropping Warhammer like lore now. Okay,
No,
okay,
no,
cool.
no.
Good to
No,
know. It's good to know.
They were called the Eldar before they were called the other word. But it was actually Eldar F or something crazy. I don't remember exactly, but it was something like that. The other thing, it would have been cool if we would have had that rapid scene. There was a scene that was never shot because it got flooded in Queenstown. As far as what I know, I was watching the thing, and it said that there was supposedly a scene for Sarn Gabir on the Anduin that was supposed to be shot. It was supposed to have some sort of conflict between the Uruk-hai when they're traveling down the Anduin on the river, and because in real life the set got flooded, they couldn't actually do the shot. They couldn't actually do the scene. And I thought that would have been really cool added to this film, having a real cool river scene. I mean, we got it in The Hobbit, you know what I mean? But, you know, we didn't
drink.
Like I got a love-hate with the Hobbit trilogy. Like
drink again.
Yeah. All right.
We're gonna need a bigger boat.
No, we need a bigger.
I'm turning into white trash. It's gonna be a 6-pack before the end of the episode. At this point,
are we done, Rick? I'm going over to you, Brian.
I mean, what's not been said so far? I will say for the extended edition, I will agree 100%. You know, Sean Beam, fantastic, right? Game of Thrones, the whole 9 yards. This guy literally has in his contract where he does not want to die in any other movie or TV show ever again. And that was like, you know, one of the first heartbreaks of the film. Then when we actually get to see the extended version and really more of why it happened, it made it even worse. So, you know, I think a lot of people covered what I was going to talk about. At the end of the day, when it comes to that scene, especially when we're talking about Cate Blanchett, it was really great for, you know, as I mentioned, I never read the books, and just kind of seeing like, oh shit, when the second movie comes out, even though it was great to see them all come together, like, oh, I'm going to do this, even though they all hate each other, right? You got the, you know, the dwarves, and then you got Orlando Bloom and everybody else. Like they're, you know, the Fellowship of the Ring. Even though we don't like each other, we're going to get along for this. And then you see them break up. It's like,
oh, Drake.
There you go. So, I mean, to me, I
thought you were our guy, Brian. Like, what you doing here?
I know. This bourbon's going down smooth. I will say that. But at the end of the day, though, as I mentioned earlier, I always love seeing the extra footage, especially when it's a passionate movie made by passionate directors. It was just fantastic to see, like, not fantastic to see like Sean Bean die, but at the end of the day, though, like the more of the backstory and what we're really going up to, which is the two towers and how we get to that, and then how the movie really diverts from one group to a couple different groups. So that's what I got for it.
Okay, so to conclude, we do get the death of Boromir, of course, right? And we get Mr. F, young Mr. F, taken off with Sam G to go on his own to Mordor, right? To take it, and then we get Strider and Gimli and what's his name, deciding to come together and go hunt down Merry and Pippin and find them, hunt down the orcs, right? That's the conclusion of our film. So I'll go right back to you, Brian. I'll let you go first this time. What are your thoughts on the final part of the film?
I mean, as I mentioned earlier, the final part of the film had me hooked, and I couldn't wait for part 2 to come out. It's very rare when you see a movie and you're just like, even if it's and this was the first time, right, in history where a trilogy was filmed all at once. But I was super excited and could not wait for part 2 to come out, because it's just like, not a fan. Like I said, never read the books, always heard about them, always heard great things about them. As I mentioned, my wife loves the books. I was just like, holy crap, I can't wait to see how this happens. And it was more exciting knowing that they were breaking apart and kind of going their separate ways, because the exciting part is, when did they get to reconnect again? So that's my take on it.
Okay, middle-aged Tim.
Give me the question again. I'm sorry, I was reading something.
The final part of the film, where Boromir's dead now, and the rest of everything that occurs after that till the end.
I think it's a great redemption moment for Boromir. I mean, and each time he's hit with an arrow, there's some music that happens, and it stops and gets hit with the next one, and it kind of builds on that. So, if you're not even really aware of it, it's really building on that, not only at a visual level, but at an audio level through the music. And I think it's a very telling moment where this is a guy who, when they were back at the original, council of the beginning of the Fellowship, was like, we need no king. And then he looks at Strider and he's like, I would have followed you anywhere. My brother, my king, and I think that's the moment where Strider might be like, I might have to take this up, like these people need me, and if I can change the heart of this man who was at the beginning was like, I need no king, to I will follow you into the depths of hell, then maybe I should be leading, this age of man, so that they don't perish into the ether. So, and then, you go from there to, they're like, we got to catch up quickly with our two main hairy-footed friends as they, head off to try to get away from these orcs. And they get to that shore and they're heading across, and, and they see them, they're at the other side, like, we have to hurry, we got to catch them. And he's like, there's that moment where they all kind of pause. And then our elf friend's like, we're not going after him. He's like, no. Oh, I said it. Damn.
Drake.
And he's like, no. He's like, then the Fellowship has truly collapsed. He's like, well, it hasn't, as long as the three of us are true to each other, and we're not going to allow the other two hairy-footed, fun-sized, companions to be tortured and
fun-sized
and perish.
companions. I love
fun-sized
that.
companions. There you go. So we're good. Let's go hunt some orc. And and then you see the light up in each of their eyes. They're like, yes, that's what we're gonna do, and off they go. And unfortunately, our main character and his best friend are now on their own to face the perils and the weight of this journey on their own. And it's such a powerful cliffhanger. And most movies refuse to end a cliffhanger. Almost every trilogy you watch, is compartmentalized to some point where there's a little something that leads to the next movie, but it's not a true cliffhanger. And you get to the end of this very long movie, which, you know, everybody says like, nobody's going to sit through this. And we do. And we're like, this was freaking fantastic. And I am willing to wait for the next part because I know it will be equally as good. You're happy that it ends on the cliffhanger and you can't wait for the next part of it. And it's just huge. Just huge.
Rick.
Okay, so I was just talking about some femininity. I want to talk about the masculinity of this part of the film because holy smokes, man. You see some serious stuff. As far as Boromir goes, I mean, he exhibits an ordinary man in the face of some serious temptation. You know what I'm saying? You cannot be mad at Boromir for having the moment of weakness that everyone can relate to. Everyone in real life have had moments to where you're not proud of. And this was Boromir's moment. Don't get me wrong, Boromir is a complete badass. He's awesome as a fighter. He is a steward of Gondor. I mean, he is an epitome of a man. But at the same time, you know, he actually has some weaknesses. But like you guys have said, he kind of tries to make up for it. And then you see that true masculinity come out, and he's fighting to the bitter end, trying to protect these halflings. And he gives his life for it. Aragorn shows people talk about, you know, sometimes men have trouble with emotions and stuff. This was a powerful.
Oh, drink.
This was a
Strider, bro. It's Strider. Just go with Strider. And you got me all emotional in the feels out here. Even Brian here, he's gonna put some rocks in the bourbon right now. He drinking it neat, but he about to put some rocks in it. Like Drake, like I can tell Dre's like gonna sneak out, get some vodka, and like put that shit
in the club getting tipsy. All right, so this was for me when I was watching this. I was like, dang man, I was getting emotional watching them two have the last moment before Boromir, you know, has his curtain call, you know, and it was really something else to really dissect that scene, but it's emotional. And what happens next? Then you see, like Tim said, you see the king, the man, Strider come out, and he's like, "Nah, man, we ain't gonna leave the halflings to death and despair. We have to go to the lion's den. We have to chase after them. Doesn't matter if we die." That's the whole rest of the two other films. It don't matter who dies. It don't matter if Strider dies. He is going to do his best no matter what. No, to whatever end. That's what he says. To whatever end. And there's nothing toxic about that masculinity, y'all. That's what I got.
All right. Aston.
Amen.
Well said.
Like for real, man. Like really, Rick. Like I finally caught your name. I'm not using your alias. I'm using the government.
Rick, you won the Shogun Award tonight, bro.
Yeah.
He like cut some heads off. Like pause. Like, but he killed it. And yeah, like just when hearing everybody recollect this stuff, like it's weird because we all were like adults by the time the extended cut came out. And I don't know if it was like that for you guys, but it took me right back.
Yeah.
I was that kid back in the couch when the couch felt like it was a boat. Where the remote felt it was the size of your feet, you know, like you're watching this. And that fall of Boromir, like you were saying, like there's nothing wrong about anything in that flick. Like that first movie, like it's one of those examples of the first one, to me at least, is the best in the trilogy, especially when it comes to extended also. With like if you okay, maybe Two Towers if we're not talking extended, we're just talking cinema cuts. I might give it to Two Towers because they didn't leave out really critical scenes. Like I can't imagine some of the scenes that were left out. Like this extended cut is like my mom like hates fantasy. Like my mom is not like, she grew up in like Yugoslavia, bro. like what fantasy? What you talking about, Willis? So when she was watching this again, like, you know, the extended cuts, she was like, she ain't like passed out, and she like in her 70s. She wasn't like what Boromir, Faramir, and like those are like Croatian names. Like I got homies called Zvonimir, okay, like that, like these names are real where we from. And I lived in Sweden, so like a lot of this stuff, these names, like it just hits a little different when you meet dudes. It's like, oh, Tor, like what it's like Thor. I'm like, that's your name, okay, bro. Like, so like, and seeing it from a different perspective, like the way the lore is translated, like you could tell they had those paperbacks in their pockets, especially leading up to these scenes. And I'm pretty sure Sean Bean, going into it, expected all of those scenes to be in the cinematic cut. No way he expected it to be what it was, where you literally kind of see him kind of like, let's be honest, what compared to the extended cut where you feel for him at that very moment, you know, because it's there. Like, it's not just the fighting, it's like everything else that led to this. It's his interaction with Strider or that guy from Green Book. But
well said.
Hey, thanks, Brian. And when it's, for me, the fall of him, it's like, you know what, honestly, I would have done everything he did, because like we're talking like, and just knowing the metaphor of what these books were about. Tolkien was a guy who was in war. He's showing like, yo, this guy isn't doing it to like, he isn't Isildur. He's not him. He is literally like, my dad's an abusive D-bag of a person. And like, growing up, how I grew up and stuff. And now I just met the guy who's the would-be heir to the throne of all this stuff. Like, what are we like let's end this stuff now. And I'm pretty sure everyone on this panel, let's just remove that we read the paperback. Like, you know, we probably would have been like, you know what, give me this damn ring. I ain't going up no goddamn mountain. Listen, big ears, we're out of here.
Drink.
My bad. It's like,
I'll
Mike's
take it.
talking
It was
too much.
It was a great rant. I'll take the drink.
Yeah, definitely.
Right.
Are you done, sir?
The one thing that does hit a little different when you take the combat of the hobbits into sight. In the extended version, they actually put up a fight, whereas in the cinematic, I overlooked this because the extended is my timeline for, like, I think most of us. They really didn't put up a fight. You just see them throwing the rocks behind Strider in that one scene right afterwards. In the extended, you actually see them kind of like mount up, like, yo, we going into this. So that's something the extended did so much better than the cinematic. Rant done. Sorry, guys. I deserve
that. That is one of Andre. That is Andre's pop culture guy trying to leave the studio after the show. That's one of his fans, one of his fangirls, out of his car.
No,
trying to get with him.
I have a time machine. I don't do drive.
Hey, guapito, where you going?
Anyways, all right. I'm doing the pop culture guy. Ratings. Let's change it up. We're not going to do 1 through 10 this week. Let's change it up and do 1 through 5. Give me your 1 through 5 on the ring, the Lord of the Rings. Oh shit!
Oh, drink!
Oh!
The
You're lining this up, bro. You just been lining this up all night, bro, and I'm not complaining.
Yeah,
not at all.
All right. So I'm not gonna share my final thoughts before I do the rating.
Yes, you can. Yes, go ahead.
Okay,
yes.
Okay. Yeah, sure. All right. So it's a 5 out of 5. It's a great film. It's amazing. It's top tier cinematic. Come on, like, what else could I say? It's my personal favorite of the Lord of the Flies trilogy. And so yeah, and I, the death of Sean Bean is really great, and yeah, I agree. And the little Spock people, being taken away was very different from the extended cut. They actually
You're welcome.
Yes, thank you, Judge and Master. Thank you for addressing that, or Tim. Thank you for addressing the Spock thing, because it's so annoying. Anyway, I mean, they're little people. They're little green men. So anyway, or white little man. So yeah, that's it. Well, Anyway, so yeah, 5 out of 5. Let's go.
All right, let's go, he says. All right, let's go.
They're going to kill me. I told them to send me a video holding an object and start nodding.
Anything is a dildo when you really put your mind to it. There's no such thing as too large or too sharp. Every time you stop to question yourself, I want you to tell yourself, I can, and I will.
Oh,
I can tell half those broads Swedish.
Oh my god! You should have brought up the beer lady woman. That could have been much better.
All I can think of is shake or wait.
All right, Rick,
Oh,
what's
God.
your rating? 1 to 5.
Oh, it's got to be 5. It's got to be 5. Like, if I would probably put this particular film as my favorite film of all time, based on how many times I've seen this. I have seen this more than anything else that I've ever watched. So based on that alone, it has to be. Whether I at some point might feel different about some other movie, based on the amount of times I've seen this has to be it. This has to be the best thing I've ever seen in my entire life. And I mean, there's nothing else to say.
Except for that, you mean besides, this?
You crazy, bro. You crazy. You know you crazy.
Dungeon Master, I have to ask, like, your significant other, they have to love Lord of the Rings, right? Like, is that one of your no-nos?
This is actually a really cool question, my man.
Okay.
Because she does, okay? She ain't as cool, she ain't as goo-goo on it as I am.
Okay.
However, my wedding band is the one thing.
The one.
Okay, it has the black speech written on the side.
Okay.
It glows. It glows red when I put it in the fire. No, it don't glow red when I put it in the fire. It'd be cool if it did, though. I'm not gonna lie.
It would, bro.
Yeah.
So yeah. I mean, mine is of a different metal, but still, it's and I have 2 of them actually. I got one that's 2 different type of metals. So
nice.
So yeah, Yeah.
I'm just asking because, like I said, my wife is Lord of the Rings all day, every day. So I just figure, as much as a fan of you as you are, I know you're not married to or dating someone that is like, fuck Lord of the Rings.
Nah, man, it ain't even like that. Nah.
Okay. All right, middle-aged Tim.
I'm sure if they would have said that on the first day,
That'd
be
be
like,
a deal breaker.
check, please.
That'd be a deal breaker. Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
What do they call those nowadays? That'd be an ick.
Tim, it's all you, Tim.
All right, Rick, shut up. All right, I'm going to give this 5 sword swings. Yeah, this is a 5 out of 5 for me. And again, I'm going to reiterate, these 3 movies might possibly be the greatest trilogy ever created. And this is a guy who had stormtroopers at his wedding. So there you go. I don't have the cool ring like Rick, but I had stormtroopers at my wedding. So big Star Wars guy. But it has everything you can want in a movie. I mean, it has action, adventure, fantasy, horror, romance, and the classic good versus evil trope. I mean, it shows that not only can you make a 3-hour plus movie that an audience will gladly sit through, but if it's done right and on a cliffhanger, which leaves you wanting more. That's exactly what this film does. I mean, it's amazing. And it proves that, when you're creating a cinematic version of a beloved work, you should find writers and directors and actors who are just as passionate about the material as its creator and the fans who support it. I mean, and that's huge. And you want more proof than that? Go look at, the Rings of Power, go drink. And, and you see the opposite of that. It's just a hunk of, it's a dumpster fire. It's just a hunk of shit, burning in the street. So versus this, which is just, it's a diamond in the rough. So every aspect of this film shows the commitment of everybody involved to bring Tolkien's vision, to life in the voice that he wrote it, and not just how they feel it should be presented with modern, social interpretation. And it's, I feel it's just a stellar example of what can be achieved when a filmmaker chooses to not reinterpret or force social agendas in a classic story, or a canon franchise, which, you know, Disney is doing a fabulous job of destroying so many of. It's just storytelling done right, and it's truly the one. It's the one trilogy to rule them all. So there you go.
Hey,
Brian.
Real quick, two things what you said about that, Tim. Number one, Tolkien was super against that shit that you just said. He was
Amen.
super against that stuff. And two, I know what you're talking about as far as that other TV show goes, because I have seen personal experience. I have seen an actual dumpster fire, and I know what it looks like.
Yeah, yeah.
We tried to reach out to the man who died in this pursuit. They were unavailable for comment.
And so many unfortunate franchises are not available for comment anymore either, because Disney has killed them.
Yeah.
Brian,
You said it.
Your
bro.
rating, your rating, sir.
Goodness gracious. So, you know, I'm not going to go 5 out of 5. As much as I love this movie and love the trilogy and everything, I'm going to go 4 out of 5. You know, I love the extended version. I like seeing what the director's vision actually was before it gets chopped to bits and pieces in this, that, and the other. You know, at the end of the day, yes, I think they did true to, you know, and you're talking to someone that's never read the books, right? So I'm saying, as someone that enjoyed the original cut, really, really enjoyed the extended cut. And it was just one of those things to where I really wanted more. I did. And I mean, that's what they want you to have, right? That's why they made it into a trilogy and everything else. And I think that they perfected that to a T. You know, they brought in some big hitters, but they brought in some actors who at the time were a little bit unknown, which is great. And I think that everybody performed their roles to a T. I never watched the movie and I was like, this one person sucked, or this scene sucked.
No,
You
they
know,
casted
anything like that.
they casted the fuck out of this movie.
Oh yeah, 100%. And like I said, I mean, it was unprecedented at the time to do 3. I think before that they did the Matrix. They did Matrix 2 and 3 back to back, but that was after they did Matrix 1. This was the first ever time in Hollywood history where they were like, we're going to give you the chance to do all 3 movies back to back to back. And I mean, the cojones and the balls to have to do that is amazing. And again, mention, you know, Peter Jackson, not a super duper resume compared to some of the heavy hitters in Hollywood. So, you know, that's my rating, 4 out of 5. I still think it's fantastic. It's rewatchable as fuck, whether if it's the original version or the extended version. Anytime it's on, it's like TNT. They just get it. You know, I'm like, TNT movies, I will rewatch the shit out of them.
I've watched it twice in the last 2 or 3 months. I've watched it twice.
Exactly. And I mean, I'm not a stranger to long films. I've watched Dune 2 probably 5 times this year. I've watched Scarface hundreds of times. Wolf of Wall Street, another 3-hour movie, at least a dozen times. So I'm not one that's afraid of long movies as long as it's done well. So I'll leave it at that.
Your rating, sir.
I would have to put it like, I got it in my, like, this might sound crazy, but I got it in my Shawshank category. Like, it's definitely up there because it transcends genre. It is
What is your numerical score for the movie out of 4 out of 5? 1 out of 5.
5, straight up 5.
Okay.
Yeah.
Now say what you wanted to say. Go ahead.
My bad. Yeah, it's you know, it's a good movie when it transcends genre, and the way the entire movie, especially the extended cut, like, it takes you on this journey. It is so immersive. There's not a detail. No one breaks character. Everyone performed exactly how they were supposed to, from the prop masters to the grips to the, like, there was no flaws. There was no failure in delivery of lines, of execution. It just, you're in it till the very end, and that's why I have to put it like as a 5, because Shawshank and those sort of caliber movies do that. And especially when you're talking genre fiction sort of movies and stuff like that, the closest thing I would say that did that for me, to take me and just to forget the genre and that I'm looking at something that isn't like us, would be like Babylon 5 when it comes to television. Like that, and that's like one of the few instances where it's like, okay, I am so invested now by like the end of the first season that it's
I used to fuck with Babylon 5 back in the day.
So like, and that exactly to me, it's like if it transcends that, I forget that I'm looking at people in a made up world and I am invested into these clearly fictional characters. Like there's like no, but it's testament to Tolkien's writing and the way Peter Jackson did what he did. Giving it anything less than 5 would be like I would be selling, like I'll be betraying myself because I have such a high bar. Like this movie is the reason I do. It really is. Like when someone's like, oh, this movie was okay considering the budget, please, it got triple what this movie got. It got triple today with CGI and everything else. Like anytime someone comes and holds up a Marvel movie, I'm like, really? Oh, okay. You see this little thing from 2001? Like, yeah, like, okay, come back when you got something better, because they had to shoot this in New Zealand with floods, with like goats coming around. There was no extras. Like, and you're going to come around and tell me that you can't with like a Disney budget or with like whatever, Warner Brothers, whatever. Like when I never thought growing up, there was no such thing as a movie that was a write-off. And we witnessed that in our lifetime with the Batgirl, Batwoman, whatever the F that shit was. Like, we witnessed that. And to see this, how far it's come from Lord of the Rings became bankable and it opened the doors for a lot of things, to now we have a Lord of the Rings series financed by one of the top 5 richest people on the planet.
Drake.
Sorry. But you can't, it's like nothing holds water. Like, you have the budget to get better writers. You have the budget to make these characters convincing. And you know what's really crazy? Like, because I grew up in the Middle East, I traveled everywhere. Like, I've been on several continents, and I've really chilled with people. Like, I don't travel and do tourist sites and shit. Like, I'm really down there with the folks, man. So I've never heard anyone complain about diversity about Lord of the Rings. Like, I've met Middle Eastern dudes who got into like Dungeons and Dragons because of this stuff, and none of them like complained about like no goddamn, sorry for cursing, diversity and stuff like that, because this is clearly a fictionalized world where the males are supposed to be the males, but the analogies, like maybe it hits home because like my grandpa was involved in like World War II.
Hot D.
You hot dog throwing fool. But I knew it. Like, I will not go deep with you ever, bro. Pause. Back to Jeff in the studio.
Thank you, sir. All right, guys, let's plug out of here and call it a night. It's been a long show. It's the Lord of the R's, so you know it's going to take a long time to review these movies. But I almost thought about splitting them up into 2 parters, but I decided to try to do them in one part. I'm going to start off with Mr. Andre the Pop Culture Guy, who is inching his way up to 1,000 subscribers, inching his way.
I know, he's crazy. Hello, everyone. I just want to say, thank you, Brian, coming in. Great to see you again. Tim, Dungeon Master, and Austin back again. It's great to see you guys again. Hopefully, we do this again. I just recently posted my review on Spider-Man 2 for its 20th anniversary, the sequel to the first Sam Raimi Spider-Man film. Just make that clear. And I just posted the trailer reaction of the Batman with me and Cyber and Jeff did last Sunday when we did the pop culture talk on Spider-Man 2. So our next live stream is going to be Black Widow when I come back from my vacation. So that's going to be great. Jeff, just to let you know, I'll be back by Saturday, so Sunday I'll be good. So just to let you know that quickly. Please.
All right, so Black Widow on Sunday.
Yeah. So I'll be fine.
Okay.
Because I'll be back on Saturday in mid-afternoon from
All right.
Greece. Yep. So thank you everyone for joining us for this awesome Lord of the Rings. I'm sorry I'm not going to be in Two Towers, but I'll be back for the Return of the King.
Thank you, sir. We appreciate you. All right, Tim, middle-aged men.
Oh, it's Middle-Aged Movie Reviews, sir. You know this. So you can check me out at Middle-Aged Movie Reviews.
I'm sorry.
That's all right. You always see middle-aged men, and it sounds a little creepy. So I thought I'd correct you this time around. I was like, yes, come check out the Middle-Aged Men. We'd love to have you there. We got candy.
Middle-aged movie reviews, folks. I'm sorry.
Anyway, you can check me at Middle Age Movie Reviews. When you're done listening to the Bleeding Edge, in between there several drops a week, come check us out. We have several of our podcasts with Jeff TrueKnowledge, CyberShark, Andres the Pop Culture Guy, and Dungeon Master Elite, and hopefully we can make a couple new friends here with Brian and Andres. And and you can check our show. It's out on Spotify, Apple Podcast, Podchaser, and YouTube. And if you like it, so leave us some love. Leave us a review and maybe even subscribe. So you can check out our stuff on Facebook and Instagram as well.
I'll do a review for you on Podchaser. If you want to do one for us, I'll do one for you.
Oh, hell yes. I'll write you up. It'll be magnificent and majestic even, sir. I'll make that happen.
I'm writing it down.
And also, if you want to continue the movie conversation, check us out on our new Facebook Middle Age Movie Reviews group. So you can come out and chat it up with us.
Awesome.
Send me a link to that, and I'll join.
All right, will do.
Okay. Lastly, our first time Bleeding Edge panel contributor, Mr. Zero Dark Nerdy. We'll start with Brian's YouTube channel.
Yeah, so I'll be honest with you. We've been doing this for 6 years. We rarely utilize YouTube, but this year our focus has been more live streams, more everything else. So be sure to check us out on Zero Dark Nerdy on YouTube. You can also find our audio episodes, Spotify, everything else. Pop culture all day, every day. Primarily, I love Middle-Aged Tim because it's really a middle-aged podcast, to be honest with you. Like, even though we have everybody from like 18 to like 71, it's all of us here in our like 30s to 40s. And we just cover everything under the sun at the end of the day. So just getting back to it. We just hit our 6th year. And not going to lie, got burned out last year. Had to take about 6 months off just to kind of recharge the batteries a little bit, especially when you're editing and doing everything by yourself. But I'm glad to reconnect with people like yourself. Like this is what recharges my batteries. So, can't wait to come back.
That's good to hear, brother. I'm glad to hear you come back. That's good. That's always like to hear. It's always nice to know that people. It's always nice people to come on and have their first time and want to come back again.
Oh, 100%.
That's what's enriching when I make content. I like to collaborate and I like to have people come on and develop long-term collaborative relationships. I know Tim knows that, and I'm sure Rick, you're starting to figure that out about me. That's really important to me. Guys, thanks everybody. Thank you all for your time.
You mind
Aston,
real quick?
Oh yeah, Rick, go ahead. I'm sorry. You know what? If you want to drop a link for me in the private chat, I'll pull up your YouTube channel.
I did.
Oh, I got it right now then. Here you go.
And Brian, you're more than welcome to come join us in the Middle Age Movie Reviews anytime. You can even step out on the lawn and just you kids get off my lawn. We're all about that.
I'm definitely at that age where I'm a get off my lawn kind of guy. So no, I appreciate that. We'll connect. Seriously, this was a good time. I love.
Oh yeah, I'll link everybody up. Just if you guys want to be linked up, I'll hook everybody up.
Oh, thank
you. Yeah,
this is great.
For those of you, first off, thanks for inviting me on, and it was a pleasure to be with everyone, have a good conversation.
Thank you, Rick.
With everyone.
Thank you, brother. We appreciate you, bro.
Awesome. And if you want to find more of me, I have a gaming channel. I do a lot of Soulsborne type of games, tactical RPG games. Right now, I'm going through Bloodborne live stream. I just recently put out a video on Dark Souls 3. And I am going to be actually doing a Dark Souls live stream sometime soon. So for those of you who are into those kind of games, and actually I kind of want to do some more live streams, some different stuff, do some first-time plays, and I'm looking for some good games that are Souls-like. I've got a couple ideas in mind right now, but I'm kind of up for whatever the audience wants to see. So yeah, if you want to see more of that, it's Dungeon Master Elite. There's no spaces. And you can check out my videos there.
There you go. All right, folks. As I already said, the Shogun Award winner for tonight is Rick. He's winning the Shogun Award tonight. I'm giving him the Shogun Award.
Yeah.
Which Cyber and I pick. When we decide when we feel like picking them, we pick them. but he did the best job, I thought, on the panel and everybody tonight. But everyone did a great job. But Rick, you are the Shogun Award winner. Which means you were the most excellent contributor on the panel tonight.
Welcome to the club, Rick.
Great job. Seriously.
Thank you. Everyone did good. Honestly, it was a team effort. You know what I'm saying?
No,
like
you
everyone
came in with a thunder, though. You came in like Ric Flair.
Hey,
you gotta be the man. You gotta beat the man. That was
great
your
job,
vibe
guys.
the entire night.
We almost did 3 hours. We came close. Yeah. So great job, fellas.
Rick is the realest Rick.
All right, y'all. Listen, God bless everybody out there. We will see you on Monday. Andres and I will for House of the Dragon episode 5 with Jermaine and his people over on his YouTube channel. And then, of course, we'll have on Wednesday next week, we'll have The Acolyte episode 7. And then next Friday, Deep Rising with Cyber moderating. So we'll see you all later, folks. Take care. Good night. God bless you. Peace.
Galaxy. Yeah. Someone at the door, John, now I'm here to stay. Tell me who the fuck gonna face the music. More brick lane, less screen time. Been cutting back on the daily usage. Long road for the road dogs, for the weird minds. From a soapbox, got BKTs on this bitch, so everybody getting rolled on, yeah. Yeah, everybody getting rolled on. Check all this credits on BMI, I'm just too kind to expose y'all.